You're up and it's still dark. Kick back with a cup of Joe. You know you've got friends waiting on 1620 The Zone. It's Happer and Schaefer. It's Connor and Mike. Listen on the radio stream or YouTube or podcasts. Anytime it feels right. It's Happer and Schaefer. Happer and Schaefer.
Good morning and welcome in. Happy Thursday. It's Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer, and Joey Colbert with you this morning. Welcome back to winter. Maybe briefly, maybe not. We will see. Everybody battening down the hatches today for a couple inches of snow. And 24 hours of happiness for Creighton Blue Jay fans. I'm happy for everyone. I'm just so happy for everyone.
It's a continuation of my happiness.
That's right.
Joey
had a big day yesterday. You know, I saw a story about Rich Bisaccia and how good of a guy he is.
He's a good guy. He
did
not do a good job.
I didn't send it to you because I thought it would take away from the bit. You know, I want you to keep being against Rich Bisaccia. But I keep seeing all these good things about him. He's a great guy. He was a great coach.
Are they AI stories?
Very actively involved in the community. It might have been.
Is he offering up kidneys? And
I would like to actually. We should create just Rich Bisaccia is awesome corner in response to Joey's hatred for him. He doesn't have to deal with him anymore. And then Joey, was that your last Creighton basketball game that you're going to do this year?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
I'll be here Saturday morning for the St. John's game.
All right.
Then
get another one.
I got
a little defensive there. He's like, he doesn't want to be done.
Like, no, don't fire me.
You can't put him out to the corner.
There's at least 3 games left I'll be doing, and then we'll see how the schedule looks for the Big East tournament. If Creighton lands in that 5-4 spot, I might hang around. I might finish things for the Big East tournament.
Well, and you never know. They could,
unless I'm told otherwise.
Somebody mentioned it. It wasn't me yesterday on social media about, hey, watch out. This team was, thought to be.
Was it the one that involved a potato?
What potato?
It was, on social media, someone mentioned, if Creighton does this, Creighton does that, you can put the potato back.
Oh no, it wasn't who did the potato tweet? Oh, it was Sam.
Yeah.
Sam did the potato tweet. No, I saw Rothstein. Rothstein was like, you know what that means? Potential bid stealer. And I was like, I don't know if I'm there yet, but let's just enjoy this. What a great time last night. A celebratory moment for this team who's been through so much this year. And they get to have this, if nothing else. Which is great.
I mean, it was
Schaefer, your reaction.
It was surprising. I just kept waiting for I bet UConn to go on the run and Creighton to go away, and they never did. And that's a credit to them. I mean, I know we're going to spend some time talking on it, but obviously the play of Blake Harper down the stretch cannot be
not missing a shot is pretty good.
Well, but just taking the shots, sort of when he was willing to do it, how he was willing to do it, the smoothness in which he sort of made it all happen after not playing for the first 25 minutes of that game.
I believe
30 minutes of that game.
I believe Blake got 8 minutes last night.
Yeah, and they all came at the end of the game.
Yeah, he got 8 minutes. That happened after Hudson Greer tweaked his ankle a bit.
Yeah, I was listening to the post game on the way in, and John called him Mr. 8 minutes. And Blake, you could hear Blake off the microphone. He goes, "Damn." Roasted. Which, it's all good and fun. It's all good and fun if you make two threes,
a couple more buckets,
and make all 4 of your free throws too.
I mean, just 2 huge corner threes. He had the floater in the lane, and then he had the free throws, and so He took advantage of every opportunity that he had. And so he was a big part of it. And then, the other thing is Creighton played, I don't even know that I would say that they played great defense, but they closed out possessions. I mean, UConn did not get a lot of second chance opportunities, especially late.
If you would have told me that Creighton won the rebounding battle with the University of Connecticut 41-35, which is exactly what happened last night, I would have said, oh my God, what happened? And that is what also one offensive rebound to one offensive rebound.
Yeah. No, they just, I'm sitting there watching it, and it was sort of just stunning how UConn missed some absolute just bunnies.
I think the best thing that could have happened was that Mullins guy with the horrible haircut getting just scorching hot, because that you couldn't tell that dude nothing. He started taking horrible shots.
Even the ones he was making were like low percentage.
I know. I was so happy. I was like,
he's taking the screen where he basically behind the side of the backboard where he made that three. I think it cut it down to like a 3-point game. They immediately took a timeout.
Yeah.
And it was like, if that shot is the catalyst for UConn to come back, then there's really nothing you can do.
In the moment, I wasn't
0% of people would tell you that was a good shot.
In the moment, I wasn't saying this, but looking back at it, I'm like, I'm pretty happy that he cashed a couple of those shots that shouldn't have got in, because then he got like the ultimate confidence and just started ripping horrible shots for the rest of the game. Pretty excited about that. They have some. I still don't think they're all the way like hooked in yet. UConn.
They played aloof. Is that fair? Like they had a
little bit of aloofness.
We got highlights up
there.
Like,
I don't want to diminish anything, because you go and you beat a number 5 team, and obviously Hurley was trying to gin up this game, but it didn't feel like his players got that message.
Mr. Gin.
If that makes sense. Like,
they weren't all
not
the
to
way
say
there.
that they were loafing by any means. It just didn't feel like they were locked into what they were going to do. But
that's also seemed like they were expecting Creighton to throw that many punches, and they just weren't prepared to handle them.
I think what won the game for the Blue Jays was inserting Zugic into that starting lineup, because he started the attack going down to the rim, getting those layups, and then that eventually got the Blue Jays drawing fouls and getting to the line and hitting those 27 for 32 at the line.
Yeah, that's
while UConn hit 11 for 18. They missed a lot of 1-and-1.
Okay, but I knew someone was going to say that. It's very misleading. Almost all of them. I mean, like half of them were in the last 2 minutes.
But here's the thing: UConn missed a good chunk of their 1-and-1 attempts when they got to the line. So that's on UConn's part for not cashing in those
17 free throws with 10 minutes left to go in the game. It was incredible.
They were getting to
a lot of it was they were just getting fouled on their way to the hoop.
Yep.
I mean, that's what it was.
They were getting to the rim.
It's not that I'm like shocked in watching the game that they got many free throws. It's that it's shocking that this team, like Creighton, hasn't really generated that a whole lot this year.
They have not shown want or desire to get downhill like they did last night.
I was just going to say on UConn real quickly, like that, they have looked like this with other teams before. They just have gotten away with it a lot this year in the Big East. Like they haven't looked that impressive for a top 5 team when they played in conference.
No, I think if you pull if you straw pull the general UConn fan, they would say that was brewing for a little while.
Right.
I'm just glad Creighton was the one to sort of give it to him. First of all, because of the hilariousness of it, because Creighton owns UConn and they could continue to say that. 2 straight wins in Gamble Pavilion, 10-4 since they've been in the Big East, and a whole bunch of other like ridiculous stats that just that show exactly that. And Schaefer, you texted me about the extended meeting after the game.
Oh, that was so awkward.
I would imagine that was because they put up the in memoriam to Josh Dixon's mom. I would imagine that was partly because of that, but those two have so much respect for each other. They actually really, really like each other.
Has nothing to do with whether I think that they liked each other or not. It's or what context led to it. It's more just the image of Greg cradling bald, egg-headed Dan Hurley like by the neck, like he's some godfather. Like the whole thing was. Well, and then he kind of did it with the player too. I can't think of the kid's name with the haircut.
Mullins.
Yeah, he kind of did it with him too as he was going through the line. And it's like either Greg is really emotional about this or he has very strong feelings about several of these individuals.
I gotta go find the picture, the screenshot from last year, so I could put it up on the screen. The one of where it looked, because the other funny thing about it is Mac is just a gigantic man.
Well, yeah, he towers over
Hurley, and then you have like there's a great image of last. Why don't I have it in here? Image from last year of where Mac. Everybody was all pissed after the game because Jemiah Neal dunked in the Big East semifinal at the very end, and it looked like Hassan Diarra was about to fight everybody. And what's his name? Bill Murray's kid he's an assistant for UConn. He started barking at everybody, and Mac would got right up in his face in the handshake line,
pointing right at him,
and it looked like he was just going to eat him. It would look like he was going to devour him. What a great all-time photo. There's like 7 of those throughout this now quote unquote rivalry.
I'm gonna start thinking of these as Big East beefs, because
the Big East beefs, there's nothing like them. There's nothing like them.
Spending 37 years of my life not living in Omaha, having never really thought or cared about any of what would have been going on in the subcontext of these games. It is sort of remarkable how much I've learned in a short amount of time.
You got to get yourself some Big East beefs.
I'm okay.
We should open up a restaurant.
I'm Big okay East, just being off to the side on it.
Big East beefs.
Big East beefs. I mean, that's what Creighton could be referred to as, the Big East beef.
Yeah, I mean, they
come from the beef state.
The Ed Cooley, the Ed Cooley portion of the menu would be hilarious. I think. You
Dan
walk
Hurley
in.
would be the Hurley hangover.
You come in and it's actually just one of those things where there's like one of those date night menus where there's 2 different entrees and then you can build off around it.
Exactly.
And in one you have the Cooley and the other you have Dan Hurley.
So yeah,
those are your entrees.
So it's like
your
chicken,
white and your dark, if you would.
Chicken is Hurley, and pork is Ed Cooley, and barbacoa is Patino or something like that.
You're right. We shouldn't leave Patino off.
Patino goes on there, although he doesn't really get into the beef part, but he's got enough history just being Rick Pitino.
He brings his own in.
Look, here's the picture. I won't put it up on the stream, but here's the picture from last
right in his face.
Right in his grill. Oh,
and it's great because his shoulder is higher than that guy's eyes.
What a game. What a hilarious game and a hilarious result last night. We can talk about what it means as we go on throughout the show today. And an extra special guest, I was trying to recall it exactly. Holy Toledo mackerel and cow was the line from Joey. Do we have this from last night?
I got the end of game call.
Okay, it's a little long. Might as well just throw it out there right now.
9-point game, 12 seconds to go. Demery into the front court, crosses the timeline, 8 seconds to go. Demery with 7. Outside, they look to Ryba, into the corner with 3. 3 is up, it's no good. Rebound, it don't matter. The basket's good, but this ball game is OVER over. Jays win, Jays win, Jays win. Holy moly, Toledo, mackerel, and cow. The Jays come on the road, and against all the odds, a 15.5-point underdog, and the Blue Jays win it. And they extend their streak to 11 straight years with a win over a top 5 or top 10 rated team.
There we go.
Man, woman, and child, ain't that something? 91-84. Blue Jays win it. I am going out of my cord. Give me one of them $2 beers. Give me one of them $2 beers. I want one of them $2 beers. I'm thirsty.
All right.
I need a drink.
All right, John. Here, keep it going. Keep it going.
1-84. What a gritty performance by this basketball team against the number 5 team in the country.
He may have been going a little over the top. Also, all of the air was just completely gone for the last for 20 straight minutes. I was pretty convinced that Creighton was going to win, but 2 minutes of game time went by, and I'm like, can we just end this? Why am I continuing to sweat? they kept making desperation.
Is that when you
threes.
with the all caps? Please stop. Is that what?
Please
that was?
stop.
It reminded
Yes,
me
they
of the
kept
Butler
making
game.
threes.
It reminded me of that Butler game early on in the season where they just kept hitting shots and it ended up a 94-93 win for the Blue Jays.
That sucked. I didn't like that part because I continued to be nervous. And so John had to re-ramp it back up, and then he ended it with
Give me one of them $2 beers.
The what did we get there? It was holy moly, Toledo, mackerel, and cow.
Yeah, all of the holies.
Yeah,
that's the holy trinity.
The triple B of Creighton can make a shirt that says holy, and then it'll have moly, mackerel,
Toledo, mackerel, and cow.
Yeah,
Toledo, mackerel, and cow. Anyway, all that is to say, John will join us at 7:30.
I'm so excited
this morning.
I'm excited.
That is my post game text to you after everything with that was, hey, we need to get John Bishop on.
Well, here he is. They will. I think they're going to practice there this morning and then head off to the big city later on this afternoon. Brian Christopherson will join us at 8:30, and Max Olson, not at Disney World anymore, right? He's back.
I haven't gotten a text that he's unavailable.
All right,
we haven't had Max in several weeks.
We got college football to talk about with Max Olson coming up at 9:15. Also, a very special day. I have an opinion. What a beautiful day to bring it back. It was dormant. It was sitting off to the side, and finally it woke up over the last couple days. It knocked on the door, and it said, I would like to be featured on the radio again. And here it is. I Have an Opinion is a game where you just send opinions and we read them and react to them. Also, I wouldn't mind if the hosts or producers had a couple of opinions as well. I'm sure they do. I'm looking at two gentlemen who are full of opinions.
I have opinions.
All right. So send those in whichever way you'd like to get in touch with the show. Here they are. You can text or call 402-951-1620 on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. Email Connor, Mike, Joey at 1620thezone.com on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. Tweet at Happer and Schaefer, at Connor Happer, at Mike J. Schaefer on the Twitter feed, and or leave a comment on the YouTube stream. Everybody, thanks for watching there. I got a bunch of texts from people last night or tweets from people last night. It's like, I'm going to get up at 6:00 just to listen to the
wow.
And they are not here. They did not get up at 6:00. Which
the nice
that was
thing,
always
though, is that they could go and get the radio replay. They can listen on a podcast,
just like the song says.
Stream all of it.
Listen on the radio stream or YouTube or podcasts.
Yeah. Anytime when you feel right.
Exactly. Ooh, beautiful, Joey. Beautiful. All right, so that's the setup for the show today. We are happy that you're with us. Also, we have other things to talk about today. I have, Schaefer's been sitting on this Creighton question for a long time.
Oh, now we're going to do the Creighton question.
I have a question.
Wow.
I have a Nebraska ball question.
Okay.
So maybe we could trade mildly antagonistic questions.
I don't even know that mine was antagonistic.
No, but it could be in nature just because it's coming from you.
Fair. That's fair. I'll accept it. Right. I could make it more antagonistic.
I said
I could
mildly
be more antagonistic.
Mildly antagonistic. Okay. Mildly antagonistic. All right. That's the setup for today. Appreciate you guys being with us. We're back after this on 1620 The Zone. College basketball sicko Mike Schaefer watched a bunch more games last night. They were just rolling through some highlights on ESPN. Am I the only one who's like, you could look at the Darren Peterson situation in a variety of different ways. You could pull this is horrible, this is what college basketball has become card and get really, really sad about it and all those different things. Or you could be a little bit more like me and just say, I think this is hilarious. This is so much fun. It's so much fun watching, first of all, watching Darren Peterson play basketball. He's so good when he allows himself to play basketball. Last night we had a situation in which he was playing some basketball and then decided not to anymore in a very, very brief moment in time after he made a 3-pointer from the right wing in Stillwater, Oklahoma last night. The newest, funniest addition to this over the last couple weeks has been Bill Self vehemently coming out and being like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I don't this kid has done everything right. He's just had a bunch of injuries, lying through his teeth to just
nothing new for Bill Self.
Try and calm the waters of all these different things.
I don't know where that money came from.
He has been forced, nothing. I mean, this is what you have to do. He's been forced to do this. He is just being eaten up inside.
Couldn't have happened to a better person
by this entire situation, and now he has to lie to everyone to defend it, which is just it's horrible. It's great.
I feel so bad for Bill Self being put in this situation.
I kind of feel bad for Bill Self, but he has chosen to lie about it.
I have no empathy for Bill Self.
You are such a hater of Kansas.
Well, yeah, but specifically, that guy is so disingenuous, and it's wonderful. I enjoy that the end of his career could just be marked by the fact that he's in charge of maybe. Is it fair to call Kansas it'd be definitely fair to say one of the most historic college brands. You probably can't say most historic college brands.
Yeah,
they are on a list that includes 3 others.
It's like Duke, North Carolina, and them.
Yeah,
right.
That's the list. And so I wanted to say most, but then the Duke people and the North Carolina people would cry, but whatever. So the fact that this is how it's sort of ending for him just gives me incredible joy because we were so miserable last year and just outwardly miserable.
Yep.
And that team hated each other and they're getting run off the court in the NCAA tournament. That was such an incredibly great moment. And then I felt like we were going to get a lot more of that this year, and it's kind of flipped a little bit, but they're still combustible.
They've been really good, but they're very combustible.
They're still combustible to the point that when it goes bad, it's going to be like the Schadenfreude of this situation. It's just going to be incredible.
It's going to be, I mean, it'll be fascinating to see what, two things. First of all, it'll be fascinating to see what people do with them as far as picking them in the NCAA tournament, because you could legitimately make the case to me that they're the best team in the country.
Yeah, I mean, they're in the penalty box this week, but they're going to go right back to title contenders when I let them out of the penalty box. So.
Yeah, I mean, Darren Peterson is the best player in the country when he's on the floor. And he's not usually on the floor very consistently, but if the NCAA tournament rolls around, maybe he magically just gets healthy and they rip off, 5 straight wins and end up in the national championship game. I would not be surprised by that.
Or he just decides not to play in the round of 32 and they lose to a
very possible
6 seed that they have no business losing.
Very possible. Very possible.
Again, this is why I'm enjoying it. Because it has to be frustrating as hell, and I love it. It could not happen to a better program.
Enjoying the frustration of Bill Self is definitely a common sentiment that you hear. The other thing, I had this thought last night, as you almost nightly, Schaefer, text me about your sick, disgusting
sicko excursions
watching of college basketball games.
The depravity that I'm just experiencing in my own home.
I could not be happier. As a longtime college basketball sicko, I'm very, very happy that you and others from around here have found their way into this weird place. I think college basketball is a great sport, the best sport potentially.
I certainly will never go that far.
I love college basketball. This is about the time of the year where I say basketball is better than football.
Yeah, I mean,
I need to make it a yearly, on a specific day every year.
I mean, you can just add it to I have an opinion.
We might be a year or 2 years removed from me saying this. And I do I love college basketball. But I thought about this last night. How do you usually perform in your bracket pools?
Well, I mean, I have stopped doing them for the most part. Like
you're a big pool guy though.
Used to be, yeah. Well, I used to run bracket pools when I was in elementary and middle school. I was the guy running the one for school. I handled them when I was a little bit older. By like late college, I sort of hit fatigue of brackets, and I went the other way where it's like I don't want to be beholden to this sheet of paper when I'm watching games. I just want to watch the games.
That's very
And then I discovered there was other ways to get action and simulate the enthusiasm that might be of rooting for a random team, and those kind of took over. So that kind of killed brackets for me. I mean, I like when I fill it out, I give myself about a minute, and then by the end of it, I'm done. And lately,
that's good. Good thing for you.
Lately, it's you get 2 Final Four teams and usually one of the 2 finalists. Like that's largely how it goes.
Now,
the 4 seed that I always believe in a little too much usually goes out in the first round.
You will have this year, with your extended watching of college basketball, you will have some more institutional knowledge when you spend that 4 seconds making the picks.
Yeah.
So I have a prediction. This will be your worst year.
Probably.
This will be your worst year. The more you know, the less you know when it comes to the NCAA tournament.
I famously started 23-0 in last year's March Madness.
You did. I have no explanation for that. That certainly does not fit into my theory.
Defies the logic.
Yeah, that does not fit into my theory at all.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I'm already just excited to see what the bracket's going to be.
Oh,
for a variety of reasons.
I can't wait to see the bracket.
It'll be weird because it'll be different with how I will consume the NCAA tournament. Because normally, you have the days where you could just wall to wall.
It's hard when you're at a site.
And when
it changes the game completely.
Yeah, when I've gone to a tournament site before and I'm there for the 4 games that are going on, then it's like you can't. No. This was 2012. I had no visibility of anything else happening in the NCAA tournament. The Rose Garden in Portland had like a small TV by one concession stand where it was showing anything else. Otherwise, there was nothing else in the arena. And this was at the time where like everyone's cell phone was connected to the same thing. So it shut down the entire grid.
It completely didn't work.
Like I had no idea what was happening that day outside of between the teams I was watching, which was like Long Beach State, New Mexico, Davidson, and Louisville. There's a handful of them.
I didn't go to the tournament last year with Creighton, but I went the 2 years prior for their first site.
They played in Pittsburgh,
Denver and Pittsburgh. Yeah. And so the one to Denver was great because it was
late enough.
They were playing on the second day. They were playing on Friday. And so the entire drive out, I just listened to the games. That was the year where Furman beat Virginia. Mm-hmm. There was like this just absolutely torrid hour. And I was in Western Nebraska just enjoying the living crap out of it as my car was dying.
Listening to Westwood
One's whip around coverage, which was fantastic.
When your car was dying. I forgot
that was on my trip to Denver. Yeah. And then the next year I went to Pittsburgh and they play. I can't remember if it was a first day or second day site. I think it was a first day site.
It was a first.
It was because they were
Pittsburgh and
Thursday,
Omaha.
Saturday.
Pittsburgh and Omaha were because it wasn't Sunday because I would have not got back on.
It was a Thursday, Saturday because I had people over Saturday, and then like the Oregon Creighton game was like the last game or one of the last.
It was the last game.
They played a lot of late.
Yeah.
There was just a consternation amongst the visitors as to whether they wanted to stick around to see if Creighton's season ended, or if they didn't want to be sad leaving at like 11:58.
Well, Jason Green!
That was a different flavor of Jason.
That was yesterday.
Yeah.
And famously, that was the game where like Creighton was called for 2 fouls and 70 minutes of basketball.
Yeah, they don't fail.
This is incredible.
They don't
incredible.
Fail. They don't
jealous
fail.
Shafe.
What a question. So that year I wasn't able to really understand anything that was going on outside of the walls of PPG Paints Arena on the days that I was there.
But you were there because
I was there for Oakland and Kentucky.
Taking down Kentucky.
I watched
Greg Sankey was at that game, if I recall correctly.
I don't remember that, but I do remember being in the so it's a hockey arena. The Penguins play there, and their top press box is higher than anything that I've ever encountered. And I was just watching Jack Golke bang threes against Kentucky constantly for 2 hours. And the Kentucky fans because the Kentucky fans were the most well-represented fan base there.
Oh, sure.
Obviously. And they were just like, what do I do now? I just got beat by one man.
That was terrific to watch.
And that was the same site where big man from NC State
that was
Mr. Burns.
You were in the epicenter of that tournament run. Like most of the great stories were coming out of Pittsburgh.
So that was good, but I had no idea what was going on outside of Pittsburgh.
The game after for Creighton, they ran into Tennessee. Is that right?
Yeah,
in
Sweet
Detroit.
UNC kid, Northern Colorado kid,
Dalton Connect.
Yeah. Did he ever do anything in the NBA?
He's on the Lakers.
He's in the Lakers.
He's on the Lakers.
Yeah.
So that means he's not really doing much of anything.
Nah, not really.
I don't know what his minutes
your
are
stock
like.
answer is he's on the Lakers. It strikes me as
there's
there's not a lot else going on.
Baylor Shireman got the better of him, not in that game, but in his NBA career.
They do play the Lakers Sunday. The Celtics do. They're on their West Coast trip, so we may see
another Baylor Shireman Dalton Connect rivalry.
Yeah, 5:30 on NBC.
Everyone was looking forward to that year their potential matchup with Kalkbrenner and Edey, but we never got.
Never got it.
That would have been fun.
Never got to that point. All right, so good luck in however you take on the NCAA tournament this year, and be wise whenever you decide to put Kansas either in the Final Four or removed in the first round.
Probably round of 32. I think they'll get by the first round, but after that, they'll go down.
Yeah,
it'll be great.
All right, let's take a quick timeout. We'll be back round out the 6 o'clock hour. Coming up next on 1620 The Zone. All right, plenty coming up today. We have John Bishop. Ever heard of him? He's going to join us at 7:30. Brian Christopherson at 8:30. Max Olson at 9:15. Also, I have an opinion. Get your opinions in. We will open that up at 8 o'clock. Yesterday, there was a statement that we have a press release from the University of Iowa regarding the dust up after the game from the other night. I will read it to you in full. Statement from the University of Iowa Athletics Department. The University of Iowa Athletics Department implemented its court intrusion guidelines following last evening's Iowa versus Nebraska men's basketball game. Unfortunately, an individual gained access to the court through a restricted area, directly confronting Coach Hoiberg and putting Nebraska players, coaches, and staff in a reactive situation. We apologize for this incident and will conduct a review of our procedures and security measures to determine what adjustments may need to be further may be needed to further strengthen our protocols and help prevent similar incidents in the future. What a statement. I love all of those words. I love how they referred to court storming as court intrusion. That was fantastic. When we did this show yesterday, we were very well aware that there was something going on and that we had seen the video of Hoiberg knocking the phone out of the kid's hand. We just, I don't know about you guys. I just blew by it because I'm like, this is totally not an issue for me and not a big deal at all. And so let's just move on. But when, it's a rivalry game and like the underdog, quote, I know they weren't exactly the underdog, but the underdog kind of won, right? Or there was a surprise victory. And then you have the people on social media just going back and forth, and one side saying they should be banned, send them to jail. And the other side's like, I don't really understand this and what's going on. That's when people start responding and stuff like that. It's not, I don't know why even Iowa really did a statement. I guess it's nice that they apologized, but this is, if you looked on social media and you were engaged in the Nebraska and Iowa burner communities on Twitter, you'd be like, wow, this is the biggest thing ever. And it's just not.
I would assume they did a statement because Nebraska basically sent them like a, what the F was that? I mean, it's one of those where they're going to review what happened. Well, your security guy just let the person walk right in front of them into the middle of the coaching line where they're going.
Yeah, you're not supposed to have
at the end of the game.
The schools have figured out.
The review will take as long as it took for the great Ken Palm ranked officiating team to figure out 2 different times the ball went off of the guy right in front of their face.
Thank you for respecting the officials.
I'm respecting Ken Palm
and their official rankings.
But that's like why the statement was made, because Nebraska's like, I mean, are we serious about this?
Yeah.
Because there's a, this is all in fun and what the guy wanted the reaction shot of Fred Hoiberg, whatever. But there is somewhat of the safety measure of this where you don't want fans, especially fans that have spent the entire game just, chanting F this player. Like, you don't want that interaction between the opposing players, coaches, and your fans in an intrusion situation.
Court intrusion.
Yeah,
exactly.
So, I mean, I get why they had to issue the apology. And I get why Nebraska would be annoyed by it.
For whatever reason, the court...
I don't even think it's hard to understand.
The court storming thing, just in general, not just this situation, although there's been many situations like it and way more dangerous than this over the last couple of years. But it has become a topic that people talk about all the time, and there's statements written about it, and there's fines being levied and all these sorts of things. And I don't care. I can't get myself to the point where I have a defined opinion on court storming and if it should happen and if it shouldn't happen. You see all these people every year is like, this is why court storming should never happen. And I'm like, dude, give me a break. I don't.
Your opinion on it,
I don't care.
Your opinion is that you don't care. Your opinion is that you think it should happen.
Sure, storm the court. I don't care. Do it or don't do it.
Well, I'm just saying, like, it's not that you don't care. People should be able to storm the court, full stop. Like, that's where you're at.
Sure.
So
I guess so.
I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying, like, framing it as you don't have an opinion is not entirely accurate.
I suppose, but I like people always.
You're not willing to get upset about it.
That's correct.
Right.
That's
Which I
correct.
get,
There's
but-
all this conversation about it afterwards. I'm like, what are you guys talking about?
Well, they're talking about the court.
It's yeah, but why?
No, excuse me. Let me rephrase.
Court
They're-
intrusion.
Yes.
Court
They're talking
intrusion.
about the court intrusion.
Like, what are you guys talking? It's such a like. And then yesterday, you're scrolling throughout the middle of the day, and there's a TMZ story. Did you see this?
No.
There's a TMZ with Fred Hoiberg on it.
Did you see this? You think I'm going to see it?
You don't follow TMZ?
You know I was busy yesterday.
I do know you were busy yesterday. I don't. Let's see if I could go back because TMZ is ripping off like 100 stories an hour. So let's see if I can go back.
Yeah, they have like
all right,
really gone hard on it.
Nebraska coach Fred Hoiberg slaps fans' phone away after upset loss. Click here to read more. And then there's Fred looking like he's some sort of a prisoner in this picture.
That's not even the angry look on that. I'm surprised they didn't get the still where you could see the he made the mental decision about what he's about to do.
Here's the story. Fred Hoiberg doesn't like opposing fans getting in his face. And that was crystal clear on Tuesday after the Nebraska head basketball coach was seen slapping a fan's phone out of the guy's hand. It all went down after the Cornhuskers' shocking loss to the Iowa Hawkeyes at Carver Hawkeye Arena in Iowa City. The upset win prompted Hawkeye fans to storm the court and celebrate when one fan got a little too close to Hoiberg. And then they described this person. It showed up on all of the burner aggregator sites and stuff like that. I'm like, geez, this is so weird. And although when I did see the story yesterday, I remembered that it was not the first time that Fred Hoiberg had showed up on TMZ. Do you remember the last time?
No, I don't. I am just now wondering why they have a Fred Hoiberg tag at TMZ.
March 2020.
Oh, Fred Hoiberg looking real sick.
I want to let's see. Does TMZ have a search engine? Let's see. Fred Hoiberg. I want to pull up that story because I do remember the screenshots of Fred looking just sick as a dog on the bench.
I remember the tweets that I had that everything's about to be canceled and all of the people telling me I'm an idiot and then me just being the most correct you could ever be to the point where you never want to be that correct ever again.
There he is. Nebraska's Fred Hoiberg tests negative for coronavirus back when we were calling it coronavirus after scary video. This is from March 12th, 2020. Yeah. There's the screenshot of him just keeled over on the bench.
Goodness, that's almost
there
6
was
years.
3 dudes on one chair to get as far away from Hoiberg.
That was the best one. The wide shot of Armand Gates just blasting hand sanitizer into his hand from the table, and Doc Sadler leaned over the complete opposite direction. And then the whole event of he had to go to a quarantine room inside the United Center by himself. So there's some experience for Fred being on TMZ, which is good. You always want to have experience before you do it for the first time.
If there's a literal tag where you can go to for Fred Hoiberg stories on TMZ.
Yeah, I think there's actually 3 of them. John Thompson, Fred Hoiberg, and NCAA coaches honor legend with towel tributes.
Towel day.
That what? But why? And then there's actually 4 entries for Fred.
Look at that.
Rajon Rondo didn't take the team bus to game. Here's why. I want to click on
Rondo.
that. I want to click on that story.
I think we could just go to TMZ. We just need to get a TMZ segment.
We do. And just give me a name and just type in
the old morning show on Sweet 98. They would have somebody from TMZ that I think was originally from Omaha that then was working at TMZ.
Whoa.
Would come on at 7:45 once a week to talk about the celebrity news.
Wow.
I remember always listening. I think it was Dax was maybe his name or something.
Of course his name was Dax.
And the segment,
TMZ name.
The segment was always riveting. I remember
we got to get a TMZ guy.
Yeah. We'll look into this.
This would be perfect for you. I'm sure you have many questions.
Why are you covering this?
Rajon Rondo didn't get on the team bus with the rest of the Bulls to travel from the hotel in D.C. to the Verizon Center on Tuesday, but the team insists it has nothing to do with his beef with head coach Fred Hoiberg.
Man.
Yeah, Rondo had a little tenure at the Chicago Bulls.
I knew that.
Rondo played 27 minutes and the Bulls lost to the Wizards, but went off on Hoiberg after the game, saying his benching was, quote, BS. Classic. All right.
That's Rondo.
Four Hoiberg entries on TMZ.
See the things you learn in the morning. You never quite know where you're going to go.
That rule on here? Oh, yeah. He's on here a few different times. Some Panther stuff. Some how Dylan Raiola ended up with the nickname Baby Mahomes. Many people call him that. That was the first Matt Rule entry on here. Yeah. All right. Fantastic. So court storming, not a big deal. No need for statements from this perspective. When we come back, we have plenty more to come. I have a question about Nebraska basketball.
Okay.
And I would like you to answer it.
And it's mildly antagonistic.
No, I'm trying to maybe mildly. All right, we'll discuss it after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. Just after 7 o'clock here on Happer and Schaefer, 1620 The Zone, and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer, Joey Colbert with you as we welcome you back to winter, a milder version of winter before we return to some better temperatures over the next couple days. But we were all told that the snow was moving to the north, and then all of a sudden I woke up this morning and I saw some weather things from all of our great local weathermen who are like, actually, that whole north thing that I was talking about, canceled. It's coming. So get ready.
Just don't let Josh Peterson say anything about the snow.
No, it's not.
Weather and radio show hosts they encircle each other. It's just,
I think it's a great it's a human experience to care about the weather. I was thinking about this yesterday when Michael went on a small rant about talking about the weather and how much he hates when people talk about the weather and stuff like that. And I was like, I love the weather. I love talking about the weather with people. I like to hear about all the different weathers, when I go to different places, what do you get here? What's it like? It's a great conversation starter.
Weathers.
I love to talk about the weather. You go to San Diego, don't you want to ask somebody what it's really like? They're like, yeah, it's 72 and sunny every day.
But what's it like in Omaha? It's cold.
It's garbage.
Not all the time, but a third of the time it's garbage. A third of the time it's okay.
And eventually,
a third of the time it's great.
Eventually, if you do a weather talk show, you want to become a weather expert and you want to think about the weather and you want to talk about the weather. And then all of a sudden you have takes about the weather because you have enough experience to show people, look, I've done this enough. I know how the weather's going to go. But then turns out you're wrong sometimes. And it's polarizing. That's why I like talking about the weather.
To be wrong sometimes?
I defend my weather position.
Okay.
Talking about the weather. Although I need to come up with a different bit than predicting the X part of the season is done. Because that bit's
been played out.
That bit is already taken. Let's go to the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline this morning. That's where we find Creighton Andrew. Hi, Andrew. Good morning.
I love the weather.
Thank you.
Especially as you grow older, I feel like you appreciate the conversation of the weather much more.
Exactly. It's a great part of the human experience.
It's a part of the aging process.
Yeah, why is that? Because you run out of interesting things to discuss.
Probably,
at that point?
Yeah.
Because you've lost time and you don't have as much interesting things going on, so the weather becomes a consistent topic you can go to.
You can always go back then. Like I remember in the 80s when we used to get so much more snow than now. You can reminisce.
Great topic. All right, what do you got, Andrew?
But anyways, do you think it was a great one for the Jays? I mean, it's been a banner week for me. Nebraska lost, Creighton won.
Pretty good.
Do you think Harper's a better player off the bench?
I don't know. It's situationally dependent. Like last night, he was on the bench for the most part because they didn't think he could hang defensively, which I think is they made a good move. But then to come off the bench and give him that offensive spark late to help put the game away, it was a good situation for him. Also, he mentioned it after the game with John. He referred to his interesting week in practice. So I don't know. I think situationally, yes, he can be, but also situationally, you need him to score as well and be in the starting lineup.
Do you think Zugic should have started the whole season?
I don't know about the whole season. I don't know if it warranted that, but I've thought Fedor has been a valuable player for them all season long and definitely has needed more minutes. Yeah. So yeah, and maybe that'll continue now that he gave him that spark last night.
I think he's the only one that drives to the hoop. I mean, Graves does, but Fedor will take it right to the hoop and draw contact and usually draw a foul or something.
Yeah, he's not afraid, that's for sure.
I think that's what Creighton has missed. Somebody that, who was it last year? Oh, I can't think of the guy's name.
Jemiah Neal.
Yeah, he was that type of player that Creighton didn't have. He was the only player on the team that could do that. Could Zugic be that guy?
I don't know. Andrew, thanks for the call. Appreciate it. it's less like powerful and jumping. Like there's obviously vast differences I think between the two players, but I've always liked Fedor's minutes when he's out there. It's been can he catch up on the defensive side at first, and then it was all right. How much scoring ability is he going to give you? But I like the plays that he makes. He's always good for it seems like a big offensive rebound and a momentum changer in that way, and definitely not afraid to take it to the hoop. And that got contagious. That got contagious a little bit yesterday. And one of the things that John talked about in the pregame show with Mac was like, hey, when Dix is coming off of screens, he needs to be like ready to score it. So I just thought that there was a different confidence about them last night that for whatever reason, I mean, for a variety of different reasons, hasn't been there over the last couple of weeks. And they just put their heads down and sort of were like, if we're going down tonight, this is the way we're going down, which I didn't see that coming at all. I thought the only way that they were going to have a chance to win last night is if they made 18 threes or something like that.
I mean, we just discussed if they would be able to hang around to a certain point, and then UConn would pull away. And not only do they hang around, I mean, they largely were sort of setting
they controlled the game.
Yeah, I mean, they were sort of setting things, and UConn was having to react to them all night.
Yeah, which is crazy. I didn't see that coming with that team, especially the way that they were playing.
I mean, there's always a chance. And like I said, UConn has played with its food, it feels like, in this Big East schedule so far. But I didn't think the way that the teams respectively matched up, that would have ever pointed me to. And then just how well Creighton handled UConn on the glass. I mean, like they did a very good job of finishing out those possessions.
Would have been pretty surprised if you told me that Creighton won the rebounding battle last night.
There was a time during the game where it felt like UConn turned the page on the Blue Jays from the end of the first half to the start of the second, because the Blue Jays had a big lead and UConn was able to tie it with the Mullins 3 going to halftime, and then he hit the big 3 to start the second half.
Well, they got out to what, a 7-point lead?
Yeah, they got out to a 7-point lead. It looked a little dire for the Blue Jays, but they called a timeout and then they went on a run and retook the lead.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, if they would have wilted apart and just not been in that game the rest of the way at that point, I don't think there would have been very many people who would have been surprised.
Well, they've done that at points this season.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just a testament that they're still playing to this
level. And think about the matchup in Omaha, too. Creighton was right in it, back and forth.
There's the last 3 minutes.
For the first 16 minutes, and then you got to the end for the first half, and it completely fell apart. The wheels fell off. And it was sort of that way last night, except for Creighton had a little bit of a bigger cushion for him. They had a 3 Isaac Trout had a 3 in the corner that would have got it to a 9-point lead. It would have made it 43-34, and he missed it. And then UConn went on their run and tied it at the half. And I thought, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Like, just didn't quite get the dagger in him in the first half. Not that they would have won from there on out, but little concerned. Like they needed to have that. And even worse, they got down 7 points at the start of the second half. And I thought, okay, here we go. Kept coming back, kept coming at him, making shots, getting stops. And that was in the space in which bad haircut Mullins went on his, little run and then started taking bad shots and stuff like that. There was a lot of things that UConn did to allow, I think, Creighton to set that tone physically, which should never, I mean, Hurley had to have been beside himself last night.
Yeah.
Like watching how, they didn't handle what Creighton was throwing at him. But because like I said, I don't know what Mac and those guys saw on tape to be like, hey, we need to get downhill and get after these guys. But that wouldn't be the common sentiment, I don't think, with UConn. And man, they must have felt like they were in some sort of like a vulnerable position, I think, defensively, because they went after him last night. And Hurley recognized that, I think, early.
And then the other thing is they made shots. I mean, we've talked about it this year. It's not that Creighton can't score. It's that sometimes it feels like they can't defend and then they just stop scoring altogether. They made shots. I mean, you're 10 of 21 from 3. You combine that with all the free throws, like it's going to add up really quickly.
Yep.
So did a really nice job. One of the other things that I had kind of noticed, and obviously Blake Harper's a big example of this, but I mean, when Conan was in and Davis were in, like they
There
made
was some
the most of their
good
minutes.
Conan minutes last
Yeah,
night.
that was. I mean, he played well in the middle there. I was surprised there's only 2 rebounds when I went to go look at it. It felt like there was more. Some of it was he just got guys out of the way, and somebody else was able to clean up on the miss.
He said a big pick in the second half that opened up a Blake Harper corner 3.
Yeah, the first one. It was the first.
Yeah,
it was
the first
and then
one.
he got called on a moving screen on the other one, which we love moving screens, don't we, folks? And so
was he actually moving?
I don't like.
At this point, I don't even know.
I don't know what it's almost like. What is a catch and what is not a catch in the NFL?
We've turned into that.
I don't know.
It's like it's kind of comical. To me.
I think they
I'll watch one team just do something for the entirety of a game, not get called for it, and then on the other end, you'll see another team called 2 different times.
It's become one of those fouls where they just call it when it seems like it. They're like,
who can sell it the best?
Oh yeah, it seemed like there was some bad contact there, so I think foul.
Oh, Bennett Sturts fell down. You're ejected.
Yeah, we made it look good. You much like a catcher in baseball, you present the strike. And
no, we're gonna have an ABS system for moving screens
in basketball. Oh God, that would be the worst thing ever. In basketball, you present the foul. You present the foul pretty well, and that's part of where we're at right now in the basketball world. So Matt asked me last night, because I went on his post-game show as well. And he was like,
call in or did he reach out to you?
He reached out to me. Yeah, I should have just called it and be like, wow. But no, he called.
I was hoping for that.
And
Blue Jay overreaction time.
Blue Jay overreaction time, I think is what we call that show officially.
Maybe you did that Saturday if they beat St. John's.
There will be quite the reaction after that. But he asked me, like, is this a sign of things to come?
Oh, he gave you the turning point question?
Yeah, one of the turning.
Oh, I love turning point questions.
And my reaction was, right now, I'm just going to try to enjoy this. And hopefully I don't know, maybe it means something, maybe it doesn't. Right now, like, my overwhelming thought last night was, I'm just so happy for everybody involved in there, because it's just been such a long season. It's been a long couple of weeks. It just everything. And I'm really happy for everybody involved. And that was sort of where I was at last night. I hadn't really thought about St. John's. I hadn't thought about the tournament. I hadn't thought about anything. Now, if you ask me, if they play like that, can they go on a run at Madison Square Garden? The answer is yes. Like, if they get past whoever Providence in the first game, and then they're in a tight game with Villanova in the second half of the semifinal, could they pull that game out and then play St. John's or UConn in the final? Yes. I don't know in what world they're playing Villanova or what. I'm just making up a situation here. But I would have said that before last night.
Right. Yeah. Well,
but this gives you more confidence that it could potentially happen, and there is something in there for this team.
There's a lot more that has to happen to make this win be a turning point rather than just a win itself.
Yeah. But the tough part with the turning point question is, even if they rip off a bunch of wins down the stretch, they're still not going to be an at-large team,
right?
For the NCAA. Like, if they win on Saturday, the conversation like officially changes a little bit. I don't necessarily expect that.
Even then, there's so many losses. They're a quad 3. Are they still a quad 3 team?
I don't know. I don't know what their net ranking is.
They were in quad 3 territory, I think, at one point.
Do they do net ranking updates every day these days?
I don't know if they do or not.
Games through February 17th.
I just see other people post about Nebraska's opponents and where they're at. I saw that they had a Q3 next to their name.
Oh, no. Yeah, so, I would imagine. So they're 71.
I mean, for me, it's very much they'd have to win the tournament for them to likely make the
100%
to make the NCAA tournament.
That's where I'm at.
But that's not, like, part of it is there's two different things here. Can they have pulled themselves out of the death spiral that they were largely in for most of this season and then go play well and set themselves up for future years?
That's a big deal.
That is far more interesting to me than, is this the catalyst that gets them to the NCAA tournament?
Well,
which is unequivocally no in my mind.
And people were wondering if, whether it be silently or out loud, like, is the culture holding, right? Yeah. Is this going to just return? next year? This is sort of your Creighton question,
Kind
right?
of.
Like, is
But
this
not the Creighton
Are
question.
they just going to bounce right back next year, and 2025, 26 will be a memory that is just gone? We look at it like we did 24. I think people look back at the 2014-15 team kind of fondly because although they didn't win any games, they didn't win as many games as they were used to.
I think about them fondly.
They competed in those games, and the culture held, right? And it set up the next run. It set up the next era. And the interesting part about this is that a lot of those same guys are from this team are probably going to be back next year, and there's pieces that you like from it. And to go out and get that win, I think it confirms that you can feel good, or it helps confirm that you could feel good about next year's team should a lot of pieces be the same.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I've thought they've had good players the entire year. It's just they had to get it moving in the right direction. And maybe this is the win that does that, gets them confident.
Yeah, and I mean, do they go down the stretch? Do they finish with wins against, I don't know if they'll beat St. John's on Saturday, but
I sort of doubt it.
If they finish with wins against Providence and Butler and give themselves, a little bit of they'd be what, 10 and how many games they play in the Big East?
So they're 8-8 right now. It's 20.
Yeah,
straight
so
round
they'd be
robin,
10
like a
and
real
10.
conference.
10 and 10, probably. If you get the 2 wins against Providence and Butler and you lose to St. John's, and I forget who the other one they had.
There is one more home game with Big Bad DePaul.
Yeah. So, I mean, you split that, you go 10 and 10. I mean, it's obviously not the season of anyone's dreams, but again, this has been a Creighton team that has largely either been blown out or won by one possession.
Mm-hmm.
And last night was kind of the first time they looked like a legitimately solid team in a while.
Yep.
So can that carry over? Hard to say.
We will see, but certainly puts a little bit of a different twinge. 11th straight year where Creighton has beaten a top 10 team.
Yeah, look at that.
11th straight year where Creighton has beaten a top 10 team, which would have been unfathomable 11 years ago. And, but here they are. Obviously, some of it is you get chances to do so every year now.
I was going to say 11 years ago, they were just getting into the Big East at that point. Yeah,
correct.
So you don't get a lot of
11 years ago would have been the 14-15 team.
The top
which
10.
They did. I don't know what Oklahoma was ranked, but I wonder what Oklahoma was ranked in that game, but I don't know if that was a top 10 win or not.
I think they were number 18 that season.
Okay, there you go. So it started the next year and has continued all the way through the rest. So pretty impressive from a program standpoint. And there's a lot of stuff that has continued on even in this kind of miserable season here for Creighton. Sam writes in on Twitter. He says, promising future look isn't totally this year. It's also the pieces next year looking like there's a decent core for next season's team as well. That's the point that Schaefer was making. Like, if you could trim the edges and, make this roster with a lot of the same guys, addition of because you're going to lose Graves and Dix no matter what. Right. And then trim it out where you're not so heavy at the wing positions and you get a big that is, competent and capable. And maybe that's Freeman. Like maybe it's a great offseason for Freeman. And then, a point guard added to the equation too. There is absolutely a world where you could see this team, getting right back to where they feel like they should be next year, I think. And it's once again, with a lot of the same guys.
Yeah.
And I don't know that people would have thought that before last night. I was saying it before last night, but
we had that conversation with Jacob on Tuesday.
Yeah.
As to, like what you ideally would want to come back. And he was sort of going through it. And I mean, I think everybody around here that are Creighton people would like to see the bulk of these guys return with maybe a little bit of a different emphasis.
I think it's your best option.
Is what you're doing, or a different post situation.
I think it's like there was a lot of people who were sitting there and they were like, well, you just got to gut this roster and then try and start fresh and see what happens next year. I think they're close. Their path, their closest path, their best path, easiest path to, getting back to where they want to be next year is mostly with these guys.
Well, and the fascinating thing is it's not always just like what Creighton wants to do. It's sometimes going to be what those guys end up.
That's true too. You're always at the mercy of all of that stuff. Right.
And
So I don't know who's going to leave.
And finishing strong would certainly create the idea of you want to stick around and see where this goes.
You create
you were all ignoring the crown in Honkville over there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a big part of how Nebraska kind of got to where they were. I mean,
absolutely. No,
finishing that way.
When you have wins like this, before you have wins like this, the postseason or any kind of quote unquote postseason feels like a death march. You're like, geez, do we really have to do this? Once you have wins like this and you start feeling good, the postseason becomes something that you actually want to do. Do you want to keep? I always say this at the end of like the Nebraska football seasons. How does the season end? And do you want to play another game? How quickly do you want to play another game? Or do you want to just take 6 months off from football and not think about it and go in a cave for a while, which has been most of the endings of the Nebraska football seasons over the last several years. And this Creighton season was trending that direction. Yeah. And it might not be anymore after the win.
It's how they respond off of this. It's going to dictate, how anyone feels. If this is just a one-off and you go get blown out by St. John's and then it falls apart the rest of the way, we'd be having an entirely different conversation. And I would be making jokes like this is like when you watch Nebraska beat Indiana in 2012. Like it has the same level of significance.
Yeah.
To say it doesn't mean anything.
Maybe it's not a one-off.
And that's entirely where, the rest of the season has to play out.
Here's John on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. If Creighton were to somehow play themselves into the tournament and win in the first round, and Nebraska were to lose in the first round again, the absolute roundhouse dunks on Nebraska fans would be epic. They might be.
Yeah. Why don't you try getting past 14 wins before you worry about that?
Well, I'm just wondering if that thought has entered your mind over the last couple of days.
No, it hasn't.
No, not at all.
Not remotely.
They're still definitely going to win an NCAA tournament.
It's the elevator thing for the most part right now. You probably haven't watched Mad Men enough to know the specific.
I don't know what you're talking about. No.
Basically, a guy gets in the elevator with John Hamm and he's like ranting at him, and John Hamm just looks at him and he's like, "I don't think about you at all." That's how Nebraska fans feel about Creighton right now.
Oh, interesting. I don't
know. Trust me, they're more worried about Iowa and thinking about Iowa right now.
That's good. I'm glad. I'm glad. But maybe ever so slightly, it enters the brain over the next couple of weeks, and certainly over the last 48 hours. I
kind of doubt it.
It's a loss, and then it's a win, and it doesn't have to be anything more than that as of right now. Let's take a break. Speaking of a win, our dear friend John Bishop, who was on the call last night and said all of the holies, will join us. We will still get to that Nebraska ball question. And don't forget, I have an opinion, back for the first time in the morning show coming up at 8 o'clock. We're back after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. More of Happer and Schaefer here on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer, Joey Colbert with you. We have our first guest of the day this morning, live from somewhere in Connecticut. Not somewhere in the middle of America, somewhere on the side of America. John Bishop joins us live from breakfast, where he says, wait a minute. But he's getting there. Good morning, John.
I had to unmute. Sorry, guys.
No, you're good. Where are you? Okay.
I'm moving, man. Well, I don't want to interrupt. It's breakfast time. I'm going to move out into the lobby.
Yeah, you also have some really high ceilings there to.
Yeah, this is the highest ceiling. In fact, I think this is UConn's indoor practice facility for football. Very high ceilings in here.
They have great facilities out there.
We were, it was funny because we were joking yesterday. We were driving because this hotel we're staying at is literally like 3 blocks from the arena. We're on campus. And as we were coming around the corner, tucked like back behind a bunch of buildings was this small little building that said UConn Football Center. And I kind of looked over at Rob Anderson and I said, that's kind of appropriate for UConn football. It's just kind of tucked away in the corner.
Meanwhile, they play in like they think they have like a basketball palace with all of their banners and stuff like that. And their 18 national championships hanging down. Their football is just like their football stadium's like a little closet or something like that. It's great.
Have you gone and searched for the conflict trophy?
No, I have not.
Giaco.
I forgot about the conflict trophy. I think that was hiding somewhere. It might have been in the back next to the basket. You know, they always have an extra basket support in case the other one breaks. I think it was kind of hiding behind one of those,
hanging out in the closet.
In the
what have the last John? What have the last like 12 or so hours been like around the like the third? One of the first things I thought about after the win last night was like, I can't wait to hear about the celebration and the letting off of the steam after last night's game and then into the morning. How's it feel?
Really good. I mean, it's amazing. You know, you walk into this trip, and we've been looking at this trip for a long time and going, man, that's going to be tough. UConn, St. John's back to back. And then you compound it with all the stuff that's been happening recently, either off the court or on the court. And yeah, there was quite a release last night. I saw a picture. I retweeted it this morning. They took a picture because Kyle Korver was at the game last night. He was scouting for the Hawks, and he came in the locker room afterwards, and they took a team photo. And just seeing all the smiles, and then I juxtaposed that with what I saw last Friday because I went to the funeral.
Yep.
And you know how somber everything was, and you know, and it was. I mean, you couldn't get 2 more divergent views of the same team, and then for them to come out and play like they did last night and really play with purpose and energy, and you know, that was something I didn't really talk about it much during the Villanova game because I think part of it was I was trying not to acknowledge it. But you could just tell there wasn't something there. And that's not taking anything away from Villanova. Villanova played a great game. They deserved to win, but it just felt like something was gone. Something was missing. And last night, none of that was there. I mean, there was energy, there was enthusiasm, there was confidence. And yeah, and so after the game, you know, there's a bunch of happy guys around here today. That's for sure.
John, I mean, it's obvious with Blake Harper and what he did coming off the bench, but Happer and I were talking about just how important it was with Conan and Davis and the minutes that they were giving, you know, and it just felt like everybody that was in there largely had 1 or 2 moments where they were contributing down the stretch to kind of secure that thing.
Yeah. You know, Karam had that nifty finish in the first half, and you know, you just needed somebody that could give Jason, you know, those little breaks. Jason Green last night, you talk about an unsung hero, did not have a field goal. Right. I thought he had a couple that probably should have gone in, didn't. Had a huge battle. I mean, Terrace Reed is a load. You watch Terrace Reed, he comes out and he's stretching in front of us, you know, in pregame, and it's like he should be in that football building down the street. I mean, he's huge. And you look at Jason, and Jason's, you know, he's tall, he's big, but he's not that big. And for him to go out there and fight like he did, and even though he didn't have a field goal, he still ends up going to the free throw line. What was it, 8 times, and pulls down 11 rebounds. So you needed those extra little breaks, and Karam came in and gave some good minutes last night, and it was it was totally a team effort.
Did you catch Reed pulling down his pants after he got called for the foul? He just randomly pulled down his pants.
Well, I noticed his pants were down. It was after because I was at the far end from where I was sitting, and when he gets up, and I even made mention during the call, I said, yeah, and his pants are down. I didn't see how it happened.
He did it on purpose. It was like a natural or unnatural reaction to him getting called for a foul that he didn't think was a foul. He pulled down his pants. It was one of the weirdest things I've ever seen.
Was it like who was it for Iowa the other night who dove and then looked up at the ref looking for a flop and then put his head back down? I don't know if you saw that.
It was Bennett Sturts.
Yeah, Sturts. See, so I guess that's a different way of convincing a ref. Hey, look, my pants are down. But yeah, I noticed they were down. I didn't see how it happened though.
So we got a call earlier, and obviously one of the big takeaways we just mentioned a bunch of people, and everybody played pretty well last night in order to get that game done. But Fedor, with getting his head down into the rim, feels like it could be, a potential like game changer for this team. It's an infectious sort of attitude that I think really, really was important, not only for him, but for the rest of the guys last night.
I couldn't agree more, Connor. He came in and had 6 early points. He was one of those first guys to really take, because Mac said it. He said it in our post game last night. Got to touch the paint. Got to touch the paint. Got to touch the paint. And I thought he and Josh and Nick, Austin, when he had his moments, they got to where they needed to go, because that's where good things can happen. But the difference was that last night when they did touch the paint, it didn't stick, because sometimes we've seen that where, you get downhill, you get in the paint, and then all of a sudden the ball just stops, and pretty soon you're being swarmed and you got nowhere to go. And then the offense, that didn't happen last night. So not only did they get to the paint, but they made something happen once they got there. And a lot of times, and Fedor, I think, really started it off, just, put his head down and went. We didn't know how he was going to respond to his first start. And he kind of joked last night after off the air last night. He said, man, I'm tired, because he hasn't played a 30 minutes in a game, since he came over here. And for him to go out and have that energy, it wasn't as much in the second half, but man, that first half, he kind of set that early tone. And, I think some of the coaches were a little surprised when Mac thought, hey, I think I'm going to start Fedor. And the reason they wanted to start him was for defense.
Right.
They needed someone for Stewart. They needed someone for Ball. They wanted to put Josh on Demery, and they just needed that extra body. And Fedor is kind of adapted a bit defensively, and without that component, I don't know if last night happens.
Well, if you would have told me that their offensive, game plan or the message was, hey, look, we got to get downhill and challenge these guys at the rim offensively, I would have said, okay, interesting, good luck, like that. I would have said, yeah, you're probably going to have to make 15, 16, 17, 18 threes to beat these guys. It was the complete opposite last night. I don't know. There's got to be a lesson in there for how things look going forward.
You absolutely can take what you saw last night. Now, not every team's built the same. Obviously, St. John's is a different challenge, but the philosophy of getting downhill, attacking early, and not being so afraid to fail when you get down there, because there's so many good shot blockers in this league, and there are times when you're a little bit challenged height wise, but again, it's not just about getting to the paint and scoring in the paint, but you get it in, you collapse the defense, you spray it out, and so there's a give and a take. If you see a chance, go to the rim. If not, spray it out. You've got open shooters, and it was a tale of two halves. If you look at it, first half, it was only 3 threes in the first half. In the second half, they hit 7. It was a complete role reversal. But the reaction of UConn having to, constantly account for those guards getting into the painted area eventually led to some open looks later in the game, and you were able to play that complementary basketball. This team this year has been so predicated on making threes. And while, I thought they needed to make 10 threes in order to win the game, and they did. it was what they did in the first half that allowed for the second half to transpire as it did.
And then on the defensive end, it's what they did in terms of just taking UConn off the glass. I mean, 13 offensive rebounds in the game in Omaha, only 1 for UConn last night, and it came pretty late and was relatively inconsequential.
Yeah, and Caravan, who had 5 of those offensive rebounds in Omaha, was almost non-existent. I mean, I if I had an over/under on how many times I actually said his name last night, it was probably under 6.5. I mean, it's like he never touched the ball, both on both ends of the floor, and there were times where he wasn't even out there. So that he had a huge game in Omaha, but he wasn't really as consequential. And it goes back again to Jason Green, had 11 rebounds, but we were just talking about it at breakfast. Josh Dix came in, had some big offensive rebounds. Harper, when he got his minutes, came in, got a couple of big rebounds, and that's what you have to do. It's got to be about a team rebound. You can't just rely on one guy. I know Green had 11, but you just can't rely on one guy, and it's the first time in 12 games they've won the rebound battle. You have to go back to the Villanova win, the last time they won a rebound battle. So absolutely, that was enormous last night. It's not just about making shots, but it's about getting the rebound and preventing all those second chance opportunities, which have just been killing this team this season.
We were all wondering how many Jays wins were going to come out last night. I have found myself wondering about the octave level of the Jays win. So sometimes it's like a Jays win regular. And last night, and occasionally this will happen, John, where you go to the next ring up and you go, Jays win, Jays. That last night, I felt like that was planned.
It was. It's
and all the holies.
Yeah,
we want that as a T-shirt now.
That's something I haven't broke out in years. I don't know if I've ever done it for a Creighton event. I think the last time I broke that out was when I was calling Nebraska baseball. So that we're talking like 25 years ago. And I don't really know. That was one of those contrived things. When you're a young broadcaster, you're like, I got to have my own catchphrase. I got to have my own gimmick. And that was something that I concocted in my head. And I used it a few times back when I was calling Husker baseball. And then I was like, okay, this is forced. This is contrived. Put it away, just stick with the basics. And for some reason last night, it found its way back through the cobwebs of my, foggy brain. And
well, you had like 15 minutes to think about it because there were so many damn free throws.
I know. I was like, I was listening to you guys earlier. You're like, when is it going to end? And it did kind of feel like that Butler game where, Butler kept pulling threes out of their ass. And, I got to give credit to UConn. I mean, they're trying to win that game. And, there was a lot on this one last night for them because not in that, beating Creighton would have been a big win for them, but they needed a win to avoid what is a loss that's really going to sting them because they're kind of on that cusp of, they're 1 seed capable, but you lose a game like last night and, there's not many other great quality win opportunities for them. And so, to drop one at home in a game that they're favored by double digits, that's really going to sting. And you could kind of tell that, they felt a little desperate there at the end, especially after the things Hurley said about, the crowd not being there. Yeah. I've been seeing a lot of chatter here in Connecticut this morning about, UConn fans going, well, you called us out and then you come out and you play like that. So there's some frustration here today.
All right, John. Well, we'll let you get on with the rest of your day. Enjoy whatever comes today. Probably is it a bus trip or
we're leaving here. We're going down to Yale to practice. So we're going to do that and then head to New York. And at some point this afternoon, I'll rejoin Josh in the afternoon, and we'll go from there. But just take a little trip through the Ivy League. It takes me back to my days like at Fremont High. High caliber, high class, great academic institution. I'll feel like I'm right at home.
Something feels different when you're on campus at Fremont High. All right. Thanks, John. See you later.
All right. See you guys.
John Bishop, the play-by-play voice of the Creighton Blue Jays, as they got a big win last night against UConn. Hurley admitted after the game, he goes, I feel like an idiot. You know, I called all these people out for not showing up and not being loud, and then they actually do, and then we go out there and crap our pants. Like, I feel like a huge idiot today.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it seemed like the idea was to get his team fired up for it, and then the team just didn't get the message.
No, I don't know. They weren't right last night. There's some doubters about UConn overall.
Yeah, they haven't been impressive most of conference.
They're one of those teams that I do give like a slight benefit of the doubt. I don't know if they're as high end capable as some of their teams that have won national championships over the last couple of years, but I do think there's still a switch to be flipped for them that we'll see what happens, in a couple of weeks.
Well, I mean, if they have that ability to just turn it on when they get to the tournament, but they'll have gone a long stretch where the only tournament teams that they would have played are Villanova and St. John's. Couldn't come up with it.
Right. Yeah.
And so that, it's not that they don't have the ability. It's that to me, they're playing way below what their ability generally would be.
I wonder, I see that. I just don't think they're as good as some of the other teams that they've had.
Right.
Are they? But
I don't think the Big East is particularly that good. So seeing them being in some of these dogfights like they've been with Georgetown and some of these other teams, it just makes you wonder, like, what in that setting where if they were a 1 or they're a 2 and they're taking on the 3 in the Sweet 16.
And it's a bunch of guys who have been around. I mean, Caravan, I don't know.
It's not
Caravan and then Solo Ball. I mean, he's got to get it going for them. I mean, he's got to be shooting at a higher rate than he is at right now. And they got the bigs and they got the wings. I don't know.
And it was also a game last
Demery
night
is awesome.
I thought they missed shots that were there. They just straight missed them.
Yeah, that's true too.
So that's sometimes you're just off.
All right, we'll be back. We'll have the headlines after this on 1620 The Zone. Let's see here. This week's zone deal is to Timber Creek Pizza Pub and Grill. People forget two $25 vouchers for just $25 Friday at 9/16/20thezone.com, or stay tuned for your chance to win $25 plus $25, which is $50 for $0 today on this very show. Just listen for your cue to call. All right.
Should we do a drop for that, or just do a cue to call number? Because I got some John Bishop drops we could just use.
Okay. Well, let's hear one. Let's see what our options are.
Jason Green,
Okay.
give me one of them $2 beers.
Interesting.
I'm thirsty. I need a drink.
Which one?
I like the last one fits. I think the best because you don't want to present the image that you can get $2 beers at Timber Creek.
But I do like the forceful nature.
Give me one of them $2 beers.
Really, I mean, I would like a $2 beer, please. No, it's
Give me one of them $2 beers.
give me one of them $2
We
beers.
can go with it.
I'm thirsty. I need a drink.
I agree. I like that one better. I'm thirsty. I need a drink.
Okay.
The next time you hear John Bishop say that, the next, I won't play it again until it's time. The next time you hear John Bishop say that, it could be any point in the next 2 hours. It could even be in a commercial break.
Oh wow!
You
You're just
must
gonna
be listening.
Slide it in,
And you just be the first person to call. 402-951-1620. Be the first person to call, and Joey will set you up with $50 to Timber Creek Pizza Pub and Grill.
What a deal!
I need a drink. Now, I didn't. That was me, not John Bishop.
You didn't even say the first part.
That's true, and I won't play it again because then I would.
You won't play it again until you play it.
Until I play it. Right. Not now.
Not yet.
If you're calling right now, hang up the phone. You don't get to win anything.
Amazing.
The next time you hear John Bishop say those things,
They're calling.
you don't even have to answer them, Joey. You just forget about them. Just ignore these people. You're always dropping them. Just let them call. Just let them call, and they'll figure it out eventually that they should not be calling right
This
now.
is incredible.
I gotta read headlines first.
Yes, Joey has to read headlines. What do we have today?
Well, we're back to the animal stories because I haven't found anything great. But the first headline is Loose Dog crosses the finish line at Olympic skiing event.
I watched this happen, so it's not.
Loose dog.
I mean, it's a wolf dog. We were talking about the wolf dog.
What's a wolf dog?
Well, that's what they're talking about. He crossed the line in the skiing event yesterday.
There's video of it.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's that. We'll see what the next headline
The
is.
next one is Escape Pig breaks into North Carolina home in search of snacks.
Escape pig it is. Because I already know the Olympic story.
Wait, so what kind of dog has access to the finish line at the skiing event?
The wolf dog.
Yeah, it was.
You keep saying this. What is
It's
it?
a Czech wolf.
Oh, well, you
It's
should
a Czech
consult
wolfhound.
the internet and you'll know more about the wolf dog.
All right, internet. What do you got for me? Wolf.
Here, I'll send you the We Rate Dogs account of things.
What the hell? Wolf dog. Wolf dog steals show, crosses finish line at Winter Olympics.
Look at you not being online enough.
I absolutely have never heard of any of this. What's the big deal? I don't get it.
Well, an Olympic event is going on, and this dog came out of nowhere to start going right after the.
But is he like an Olympic dog, or is he just a
he has
random
nothing
dog?
to do. It's a random
dog.
that crashed the event.
What is going on in Italy? There's just dogs
There's
walking
stray
around.
dogs.
That's weird.
There's dogs everywhere.
All right, pigs. Tell me about the pig.
Authorities in North Carolina entered a resident's home to apprehend an unusual, in quotes, bacon and entering suspect.
Oh,
A trespassing pig in search of snacks. So the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office said on social media that deputies responded Monday to an Ellenboro area home on a report of a trespassing pig inside of the house. And the post says the unexpected guest showed zero fear, maximum confidence, and the motive seemed to be finding snacks. Deputies used a pack of crackers to lure the pig out of the home, where it was taken into custody and turned over to the Rutherford County Animal Control Services.
That's right.
The sheriff's office said the bacon entering suspect was later identified as an escaped pig named Penelope and will soon be released.
Escape from what?
Doesn't say.
The home,
But
the
it
farm.
will
big
soon
farm?
be released back home with no court date required.
Yeah, I don't think you could prosecute the pig.
It's a big pig. There's pictures of it.
Whole
They
question,
got
can you
it.
prosecute the pig?
Well,
They got it in the cruiser.
So this is a great way to like get away with like breaking and entering. If you could
train the pigs,
or if you could just shapeshift yourself into a pig.
I mean, if you could shapeshift, are you choosing a pig, or could you just not be?
No, but let's just say you can go back to a human, or you can change to anything else.
Shapeshift to being? Could you only be one human then? I guess that way
you can only be yourself. Yeah.
Okay, so you couldn't shapeshift to some other form of human.
No, you got to shapeshift to a pig to get into. It's funny, it's whimsical. They broke into a house and they stole all the snacks, and then turns out it was just a shapeshifting human.
Wow,
you would get away with it.
Never really thought about the shapeshifting aspect of the story.
You would get away with it every single time. Because people listen.
Famously, people are not prosecuting pigs.
It's a whimsical story. Oh, it's just a cute little pig. Let's make a bacon reference. And then that's it.
The writers of these stories, whenever Joey reads about animals, try way too hard to get the
puns.
They overdo it.
It's a little unnecessary. People want the hard news when it relates to the pig going into the house.
What would you do if a pig broke into your house? What would you do if you came home this morning?
There's just a pig hanging out?
And you said there was a pig in there and he had opened all of your cabinets.
I would probably be swearing a lot.
Yeah.
It would be
I'd be like, what in the absolute hell is going on?
And then it's like, all right, so how am I going to get this pig to exit the door?
Would you approach the pig?
Depends on the type of pig. Like if it's
like a mean, I'm talking about like a mean pig.
Yeah, mean sow. No, I'm not going to approach the pig.
You got to get one of those shock sticks.
Does it have one of Alvin Kamara's nose rings in it?
No,
then I'm not approaching.
Now that's a scary pig.
Yeah, I don't want to mess with Alvin Kamara nose ring pig.
That's a scary pig. My grandpa had a pig house, and he's got the shock stick.
Mm-hmm.
Those things are crazy. The pig just stops.
Well,
the pig house
back with the back behind the neck or wherever, or where they.
You can get them wherever. I think just.
Oh, I meant with this where they prod them at.
Oh, I don't know where they prod them at, but I'm talking about the shocks. Like it just shocks them.
Oh, okay.
It's like. Zzz, it's got these little prongs on the end of it. The pig house is a crazy, crazy place.
I don't have a ton of experience with pigs.
Dude,
there was some on the grandparents' farm, but I didn't spend a lot of time with them. And then by the time I was older, there was no more pigs.
I was out there once when the trucker came by to get all the pigs, to get the pigs, and you put them into the chute and whatever. That is a wild time.
Yeah.
Because you got to wrangle the pigs. The pigs do not want to go in there.
Sure. No, they know what's about to happen.
They know exactly what's about to happen. They don't want to go in there.
Have you ever tried to catch a greased pig?
No, not that. I'm not that country.
I should have asked Snow if that's one of the events that they cover.
He would have been offended probably by that.
Just trying to catch a greased pig. This is not
what do you think I do?
We don't go to county fairs.
This is the real rodeo. All right. Thank you, Joey. Those are the headlines. The Bob Takes writes it on YouTube. Real good conversation with friends from Grand Island and Usher Media, the new owners of 1620. We're not out there yet. They're not listening yet. They can't hear us. We'll make sure to accurately and correctly portray our farm talk when we move to central Nebraska.
I think they're going to get what they get. That's sort of where we're at.
I think so, too.
Unfortunately,
Josh is going to continue to call Beatrice Western Nebraska. Yeah. So that's going to keep on happening.
100%.
Right. We'll be back. Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to present for the first time in the morning show a little segment called I Have an Opinion. What a day. I Have an Opinion is back. If you're not familiar, it's very, very simple. Send in your opinion. Send in an opinion that you have. We will react to it. 402-951-1620. Text us there. You could leave a comment on the YouTube. You can email us, Connor, Mike, 1620thezone.com. It's I Have an Opinion coming up next on 1620 The Zone. All right, Brian Christopherson's going to join us in just a little bit. Joey is excited to debut another new open for one of our friends of the show. So we're excited for that. And next week, so this is going to be a thing. Thursday, put it down. I don't know why I chose this time. I knew it had to be later in the show to get more interaction. Thursday, 8 o'clock.
Okay.
Turn your mic on. Thursday, 8 o'clock.
Okay.
That is when I have an opinion will happen. So just when you find yourself having an opinion on like Monday at 2 p.m., just put it in a bottle it up, put the cork on, and then save it until Thursday at 8 o'clock. Or you could send it to us at that point, and then at that point, I will have to like put a little flag on the email and remember that it exists. But that sometimes is difficult for me. So here's how it works. It's a very complicated and special game. You send in your opinion. We read it on the air. We react to it. We share some of our opinions about that opinion or not about that opinion. We just have opinions for like 20 minutes until we talk to Brian Christopherson. So here we go to the text line first. Here's Nick from St. Louis. What a city, right, Schaefer?
Great city.
Have you given up on your dream, by the way?
I don't think Oklahoma City or St. Louis are likely to happen unless Nebraska goes undefeated the rest of the way of the regulars.
Did you see? I really enjoy Kevin Suits. He said yesterday that Nebraska might still be a 1 seed. I saw that video on the internet from Herd at Sports, and I said, "What is going on?"
He said the same thing when I had him on the pod on Tuesday ahead of the Iowa game. And I was kind of, I don't know about that, Kevin. And certainly after the Iowa game, I'm much more of the I don't know.
Anyway,
I think his larger point was there's no guaranteed 4th team. But for Nebraska to be that 4th team, they would have needed to not lose to Purdue and Iowa.
Definitely.
But I think the most losses you could have to be a 1 seed would be 3, and they are now.
There's no more pelts to put on the wall.
I mean, even if they won the Big Ten tournament from here on, like won every game from here on out, I wouldn't expect them to be a 1 seed.
I don't think so either. Anyway, here's Nick from St. Louis. I have an opinion. You guys are habitual city haters. I love it. Are we city haters? Wait, what does that mean? Do we hate cities?
I mean, I know that I have said things about St. Louis that Nick does not agree with.
I love cities.
I never said I hate cities.
I'm not a huge St. Louis guy either, but I do love the Missouri Valley tournament.
Sure.
And I was excited for Nebraska ball fans to get their ever so slight taste of it. Some Sundeckers.
And we'll see if they get that opportunity.
We'll see if they get that opportunity. But it doesn't sound like they are excited about St. Louis.
I mean, I think basically it's Oklahoma City would be the 1 and then St. Louis would be the 2. I think the excitement exists in that it's the closest for the people to be able to get to that isn't Oklahoma City. It's also a cheap flight and a quick flight.
Southwest Airlines.
If you wanted to go from
enjoy their new policy about where you have to have your seats.
Yeah, if you wanted to go from Omaha over there.
I'm curious how that's going.
It's going bad, Joey.
The options are fine. I was pointing out to my son because the planes go right over where our house is, and he likes to point at them, and they're very visibly southwest.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that used to be the airline that we flew a lot. Now I don't know anymore.
It's going horribly. I
love it. I'm glad when they make decisions that don't have any basis in reality.
I'm starting to wonder if they're going to Cracker Barrel it. I'm wondering because it's going so bad on the internet.
Wildly different
going back to the boarding groups.
Ways to get to the same, like we've made a mistake.
I wonder if they're going to Cracker Barrel it because they're just taking it on the chin every single day. Loyal customers for years and years and years, like, I can't believe you did this. How did you do this? Why? This is what set you apart. Why have you done this?
We had used all of our points and then did not cancel the rapid rewards card that we have. Right. And so now we've accrued more points, and it annoys me because
so you have to go back.
We had done what I had wanted to do, and then we didn't do the final step, and now we have more points.
All right, I have an opinion from Mustache Adam on Twitter. I have an opinion. Creighton's win against UConn will be the most memorable win any Nebraska-located men's basketball team has this season, and this includes the postseason in all forms.
Wow. That's an opinion.
I think I have an opinion
From a guy that you definitely didn't think was a troll.
Well,
excuse me, in Nebraska basketball.
I didn't know. I wasn't aware. I wasn't aware of
There's a lot of things that
game.
you just have blinders on when it relates to Nebraska basketball and Creighton. That it's just amazing to me and other listeners.
Probably true. Yeah. I live in my own bubble a little bit.
Look, there's a, I guess, 1% chance this could be true. If Creighton goes on and loses 1%. Games after this and then finishes with like a losing season, this is the only win that matters for them. I would still think it would be less than either Nebraska's win against Michigan State or Illinois. Unless we're only going by the fact that it's a higher ranked team.
Whoa. Nebraska's win at Illinois and home against Michigan State is bigger than Creighton's win at UConn.
I mean, the argument
on a Mecca Okafor retirement jersey
and
night.
$2 beer night.
And $2 beer night and white T-shirts that say the white and the blue, which is definitely not.
And this
Creighton's
would be
fight
if
song.
Nebraska doesn't win a tournament game and all these other things that would happen.
That would be,
and
yes.
Also, if Creighton just does nothing after this. So all of that has to sort of happen for what I'm getting to.
Yeah, there's probably not a bigger win on the season left for Creighton on the table.
Probably not. Well, there's
after
one.
St. John's, I would agree.
The Big East Championship.
That would be the one, which is not happening. But if it did, it would be bigger.
Okay. Interesting. What an interesting opinion. We go back to the Equitable Bank inbox. Here is John. I have an opinion. We have had very little snow this winter, and if you were to wait until tomorrow for I have an opinion, 100% of the opinions would be about all the idiots driving on snowy roads this afternoon. That is a fact, John.
I do like to film my adventure driving through the snowy ice dot street.
You film while you drive?
I have a phone stand. I could just set it right there and just let it record, and I'm doing my driving.
All right, that's good.
Do you do a lot of videos from your car?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
Joey has a lot of content that
usually when there's bad weather and just showcasing how bad Omaha drivers are in combating.
Is this content largely just on your Twitter, or where does
it's on my Twitter?
Okay.
I don't know. If I haven't done it since last winter.
I don't know if you had some other very active social media, like you were. If it came out that Joey was just like well-known TikToker, I would have no idea.
I don't have
like
one.
That would be awesome.
He's just this incredible content creator for Omaha out of just doing stuff on TikTok. I would have no clue.
You wouldn't.
And so
we should make Joey famous on TikTok and then one day surprise Mike Schaefer and say, Joey has like 800,000 followers on TikTok.
Look at all his impressions. Shannon Terry just reached out to him.
He's impression man. Shannon Terry is trying to hire him for On3 or whatever grift he's doing.
You could be the Hayes Fawcett of TikTok.
I think there's already a Hayes Fawcett.
There's 100% a Hayes Fawcett at TikTok.
All right, here is
it's
Seth,
probably JD Pickerel,
who has a couple of opinions. I have an opinion. Curling is by far the best winter Olympic sport.
Ooh, I
disagree.
Enjoy curling. It's not my favorite.
It's not the number one.
It's probably in the top 5 though.
I do like the bobsled, man. They go so fast.
Bobsled and speed skating.
Speed skating's 1, hockey
favorite.
2, bobsledding 3, and then curling's probably 4.
They just go. I saw a video of
and I don't mind
Colin
skating.
Jost
like
going down the
figure
bobsled.
skating might be like 5.
Yeah, figure skating is kind of boring.
It just depends on like which version of it is.
Because I can't tell if they're doing well or not.
Well, I mean that's kind of true with gymnastics in general, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is
100%.
terrific in the summer. I enjoy it.
But I know on the bobsled, they be going fast.
They be going fast.
They go so fast. I saw a video of Colin Jost going down the bobsled and he was crapping his pants.
The reverse of this, I just don't care. Like the skiing and the snowboarding does not do it for me. Like it maybe when I was younger, I cared about it more. But those events, I just whatever.
No, I agree.
It doesn't have the same or it doesn't have really the appeal. Like curling is much more fast.
I know I asked this yesterday, Connor. What was that sport where you're skiing and then you're parking in the spot where you shoot at a target or something?
Triathlon, something. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing.
That was kind of fun to watch.
They're cross-country skiing immediately followed by shooting something. Yep. And they have to park their skis at the stall.
And sometimes they have to pay
to park
Omaha
dogs.
Yeah, sometimes they have to use the Park Omaha app in order to do this. Another opinion from Seth. Also, I am so excited that this segment is back. Mike, we'll see you in the first round of the NCAA tournament. I've had a hotel room booked in Oklahoma City and St. Louis for over a month now. Can I be your NCAA tournament Nebraska correspondent? Daily updates on the vibe and party scene.
I have no problem with it.
Feel free to continue to send emails.
Absolutely.
I love emails.
Unfortunately, don't know if where your hotels are booked or my hotels are booked or where Nebraska is going to end up.
Send Schaefer an email. He will receive it, and maybe you'll meet up.
I would be happy to buy you a drink. So.
Whoa! That's a big deal. Good job. Nice.
I'll buy listeners drinks. I appreciate it.
Here's a text from the 402. I have an opinion. This is not an opinion, by the way, but
this is one of those things.
It's directly a question.
So Josh Peterson and I at the Omaha Baseball Village would have like stuff to give away. And like one of the ways we would do it is if you came up to the microphone and you gave a baseball fact, you could win whatever it was.
Yeah.
The amount of people that don't understand what fact and opinion or statement would be is just incredible.
So
this people would come up and be like, the Yankees are the best team. And Josh is like, well, that's not a fact. Can you say a fact about the Yankees? And then they would look at him and he's like, where do they play? They play in New York. He would give,
Jeez. Anyway, though no shame one way or the other. It's a fun segment. I have an opinion. If I could take one player, or if you could take one player from the Tim Miles era and put them on this team. Oh, this is an opinion. If I could take one player from the Miles era and put them on this team, it would be Petaway. And then he follows up with a question, who would you pick?
That's really interesting. I don't know if Petaway. So Glenn Watson is someone we've talked about recently.
And Glenn.
That comes to mind. But we've also talked about another player earlier that I would love to just sort of have that you could slide in for Berkey or could come off of the bench in this regard. I would enjoy a Brandon Ubel and what he could do in terms of getting rebounds and helping you be a little bit more physically tough on the interior. They don't have anyone that's like a shot deterrent shot blocker from that era that I would go get.
If you were going to go, what about Doobie?
No.
Why not? Doobie comes in and fouls people.
I don't need Doobie OKK. And no.
But I like what you're going for there. You just go grab a guy who's going to be a shot deterrer.
Yeah,
and pick up 5 fouls in 10 seconds. Doobie.
He's not really that. I mean, he was basically best at throwing down dunks. Now, his ability to sort of stand by the rim and you could get Sam and Jamarcus and you could get some easy baskets on alley-oops. That is of interest, but I think you can do that with Ubel too.
Probably, but they wouldn't look as cool.
No. I'm sorry I didn't go for the look is cool angle here.
I like the Petaway, though. I like the Petaway ad.
Yeah, I love Petaway. I love James Palmer. These are guys I absolutely love. I don't know that in the way that everything else is currently constructed with that team, I don't know that, how I'm inserting.
What if you could just make like Sam Hoiberg grow like 6 inches?
I would take that. Yes.
Yeah, I think that'd be my guy.
I think if Sam Hoiberg was 6 inches taller, he'd be maybe top 3 player in the league and a potential player of the year candidate.
Nick from St. Louis again. I have another opinion. I have an opinion is iffy without your former companion. Not that your new one isn't great, but let's see how this goes. That is an opinion. We'll see how it goes.
Fair opinion.
We'll see how it goes. Let's see.
Was Josh like particularly snippy with opinions, or what was he bringing?
Just that the segment just was created in such an organic way that it just felt right.
Mm-hmm.
It was never forced or anything like that.
And
so
this feels forced early on here.
Well, I don't think it feels forced to me because we let it die and then come back and all those things. But it's the same game. Maybe we should have named it something different.
It's settled in divorce court. You won custody over the estate.
But you guys have to understand, like I've done a whole bunch of different shows. I am not that creative. I can only come up with so many segments. Every show that I've ever been on, I've had the producer read goofy news stories. Every show I've ever been on.
What's poppin'?
And what's poppin', whatever the hell it's ever been called, 100 different times I've done this. And I can't do a show without the producer reading goofy news stories.
Yeah,
it's ingrained into my DNA.
It's still working.
And so you just take the stuff that you did at your last, and then you create new stuff.
You got power rankings with tears.
Rankings with tears.
But now we're adding.
I'm not that creative.
We're adding in City of the Day. we'll have some other stuff come around.
Football season, we'll have scheduled stuff with the producer.
That is true. Maybe that'll
there's
replace.
Lots of time for things to grow organic.
Here's Chris on YouTube. I have an opinion. Racing is not a sport.
Oh, where's Nick Rim?
This was an opinion that has caused some dissension in this studio.
2 days ago.
It got warm in here, and I wasn't even in here, and I felt it.
We all heard
I still haven't gone back and listened to it from when you played me the audio the other day, but I really should.
You haven't heard it yet?
Well, no, I heard it when you played it in here, but I haven't gone back and really honed in on it.
That's something.
For the
it's an opinion.
The comment.
There was opinions that were flying around the studio.
Some name calling happening there.
Black Cat says that give me Walt P for 3, baby.
Thought about Pitchford. I thought about Copeland, healthy Copeland, not crumpled on the ground against Ohio State. Copeland.
We got some Siobhan Shields.
Yeah, what about Shavin?
No, there's not the fit that I would be looking for, or the skill or whatever that I think they're currently lacking. It's a part of it with those teams that they never really had that interior guy as it was anyways. That's been a thing Nebraska hasn't really had in spades. I mean, Andrew White would be someone that I think would fit this team really well in terms of you could put him on the court, can help you with the shooting, can help the load and the scoring, not going to hurt you defensively. But he's not adding something that you don't have already. He would just be enhancing what you already have.
You either want to go that or a one-off bucket getter.
So again, if you were going Andrew White, I would be well, I'd rather have James Palmer because he can put it on the deck and he can do whatever.
He's a bucket getter.
So Glenn Watson because of the point guard thing. But then you're taking somebody else out. I think for me, U-Bell makes a ton of sense for what I would be looking for.
Here is another opinion, and thank you for playing with us. We're almost wrapped up here before we get to BC. This is Doug. I have an opinion. A very small percentage of the world combines mountains in populated areas. There's way more desert and barren land than mountains. Therefore, following this logic, there should be the desert games with camels and stuff.
Not the mountain games? Are there a mountain game?
I don't know what is going on.
I'm fascinated.
Should we have
Camel
the desert?
racing.
Should we have the desert games with camels and stuff?
Would you want to watch the desert games?
I mean, I'd be interested.
There is such
in what
a thing
they're
as
going
camel
for.
racing.
There is.
Yeah, there is such a
that
thing.
exists.
Okay. I mean, I don't know how many things they could do with the desert games.
I mean, they could run through the desert. That's a thing that people do.
People would die.
There's ultra marathons that occur in these situations. Then dust storms come up and they have to search for the people.
Another opinion from Bad Takes Doug. I have an opinion. Putting that salt mixture down in the streets does nothing to assist driving. That is an opinion.
That's an opinion. I don't know that I don't have a strong disagreement or agreement with it. I genuinely don't know how much it helps.
Here's Bernie. I have an opinion. Husker fans will unfortunately never be able to experience Sundeckers and drink the Sundecker special at 7:00 on a Friday morning. It was a casualty of Creighton's move to the Big East. At one time, the owner said 30% of his revenue came from Creighton fans over 4 days.
I don't know what any of that means.
What it's St. Louis.
I figured.
Archband. Okay, let's just rip through 3 more. Nick from St. Louis again. I have another opinion. Last one. It's going great, guys. Good work on the new show and segment. Nick is in. He was skeptical at first, and after 15 minutes, he has returned.
Do you think the camel games won him over?
I think so.
The camel games, the desert
the
games.
desert games. Text for the 402. I have an opinion. Hoiberg is a very good player, but the only reason he's talked about so much is because his dad is the coach. I disagree. He is essentially Denzel Mahoney or Damian Jefferson on those really good Creighton teams. Those guys were really good, though. Very good players, but not even close to first team all conference or even second team all conference. I don't know. He is
literally no coach in the Big Ten would share that opinion.
I can't tell if he is. I think he's still undervalued, even through all of this conversation about it. He gets a lot of credit, but I think he's still mildly undervalued.
You know how when you get to the point where something is so overrated, it becomes underrated, or so underrated, it becomes overrated?
Right.
I don't think we're at that quite with Hoiberg, but I think we're at the point where he's properly being discussed as a really good player on this team. Every opposing coach talks about him. Now, some of that probably he's Fred's kid, but also he is a focal point on what teams have to be aware of all the time.
Now, the thing is, he probably doesn't get to be first team all conference just because he doesn't have the stats for it. That doesn't mean he is not one of the most valuable players in the league, which I believe he is.
If he ends up, first or very close to first team all conference on the coaches ballot.
Maybe
it won't be on the media. I know that.
Yeah. No, doesn't have. He doesn't have the stats for it.
No,
we'll look at the stats.
He could very well end up being the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year.
Wes, I have an opinion. If Canada doesn't have Crosby, the USA will win the gold medal.
That would be true for multiple instances in the United States playing Canada.
I heard some hockey things yesterday. Apparently, we won.
It was a big win.
Go America!
In overtime.
That is exciting.
I know McMaster is not a fan of the 3-on-3.
Oh, that was an opinion that we got earlier about 3-on-3 hockey that I need to probably go back to. Something about they did or didn't like 3-on-3 hockey. I can't remember.
I texted you this opinion last night. The college basketball 3-pointer celebrations have turned into very similar to when teams get doubles in baseball. And then they turn back to their bench and they're doing their motion. You see guys make Blake Harper did it. Frager does this all the time.
He had the whatever. Yeah.
And they're they either turn to their bench or very specifically the Illinois bench.
There's not as much variance in the basketball ones than the doubles.
I think there'll probably get to be some more variance.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we're in the beginning of it, the climb.
We have replaced taunting the other team with taunting your own team, which is very fun. Very, very, very fun. All right. That is, Brian says, I have an opinion. What the hell is Desert Mountain Guy talking about? I don't know. I'm not
Doug,
sure.
Desert Mountain Guy.
Desert Mountain Guy.
Desert Mountain Doug.
All right. Back after this with Brian Christopherson on 1620 The Zone.
I'm a thimble man. I'm a thimble man. I'm a thimble man. I'm a thimble man.
Brian Christopherson, Husker 24/7 on Happer and Schaefer, 1620 The Zone.
I bet Brian Christopherson did not think that just because he answered the question of what's your favorite Monopoly piece with I'm a thimble man, it would turn into a song and an open. But here we are, BC. What's up?
Yeah. I think I've played Monopoly like twice in my life, too. So it's maybe a slight exaggeration of who I am as a person, but I don't mind it. This reminds me, it's somewhat of like when one time back in the day, I said, what did I say about Jack Stoll Schaefer? Like I just had some comment about him in one of our podcasts.
Yeah.
And for the rest of time, Schaefer has made it seem as though I don't think highly of Jack Stoll.
That you have this like personal vendetta actually against Jack Stoll. And I can't even
People
remember.
don't forget.
He was like the most innocuous comment imaginable. And of course, like it's you zero in on it and then it just becomes a thing. And then, I mean, I think people would even tweet at Brian when like Jack Stoll would do stuff in the NFL or whatever it was.
So here we go.
It was probably something like rational, like they should stop throwing laterally to Jack Stoll. And then it just turns into,
They're going to come up to you on the streets now, BC, and they're going to say, you're the guy who likes the thimble.
Well,
you're like, do it for us, Brian, do it. And you're I'm a thimble man.
I'll just have to start sitting in the press conferences with a little thimble on my pinky finger.
Yes.
Really lean into it. So yeah, that's fine. I don't mind. There's worse things, I guess, to be known as.
Yeah, I think so. There definitely is. All right, so I want you to answer a question that we were just discussing ever so briefly at the end of our last segment. Is Sam Hoiberg overrated or underrated? I think there's
properly rated.
Like where is the tide turned to Sam Hoiberg?
That's always a good question. I remember former Journal Star writer Kurt McKeever once I can't remember the Husker hoops player. Someone asked him a question about if he thought he was underrated, and he was like, I didn't even know I was rated. So I always think of that quote for whatever reason. But I don't know where the public sentiment is with him. I think the coaches, I heard your last segment, and I think Schaefer's right. I would not be shocked. I bet he's like top two teams. I don't think he'll be first team, but I bet he's like second team from the coaches by the way they talk about him. And at first, maybe like 2 months ago, you're like, well, maybe that's a little bit of a nod to the fact that most everybody really likes Fred and Sam plays well and you kind of connect those things, but it's more than that at this point. I think my hunch is the media and the public probably still underrates him because of his just looking at a stat line, but I would say go through the box scores and find, you'll find 5, 6, 7 games where he has like 4 categories that are like 10, 7, 6, 5, like 10 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 5 steals type of stuff. You're not going to find that elsewhere. So as far as most value on a team, I think he should be one of the guys that make the all conference top 15 list, of the 3 teams. I think he should be somewhere on there. I'm going to vote for him that way, but I think he's going to be underrated by the media. That's my guess.
So Nebraska has Penn State and then Maryland at home in their next 2 games, and then they go back out on the road and they finish with 3 pretty important games at UCLA or USC, UCLA, and Iowa. With Penn State and Maryland and those being teams that are in the bottom 4 of this conference, what would you like to see Nebraska sort of do and accomplish beyond just take care of business and win those games? Like how can they kind of use these to work out any kinks or to kind of figure out how to finish strong in this last 5-game stretch?
I assume even though those teams are struggling and at the bottom, they're going to try to follow the blueprint others have done defensively against Nebraska, really pressure them. And what I want to see Nebraska do, it's what Fred talks about, and he's been talking about the last couple of weeks when teams are up in your grill like that, your eyes should light up, make them pay with some cuts, and start to see some of that pretty basketball where you're handling it well. Rink, for whatever reason, I feel like it's been just a little bit disjointed, sort of in his facilitator spot, with some of the pressure he's receiving, and just some ways to have some will and purpose about what you're doing with your cuts and get some easy baskets off of it and back them off. And so that's what I want to see most of all is Nebraska sort of find some of those easy baskets off of that, that maybe opens up the floor for them. And, you just start to feel a little bit better about how that offense is humming again. Obviously, the other thing, everybody would say is, clean up your defensive possessions with those rebounds. They're obviously doing well on the, first phase of it. They held Iowa to 33% in that game. But, of course, it was 12-2 offensive boards, and that comes after the 21-6 offensive boards against Purdue. Not everyone's going to be like those teams, but they've got to find a way to not let that stat get so lopsided. And so you'd like to see them, especially this week against these teams, be even, at least even sort of in that rebound category, if not ahead against those teams. I think they're capable of it, but they've got to change that tune now.
All right, today's spring ball unofficially begins with some press conferences. Matt Rule, Dana Holgerson, Rob Orich will all talk. I'm sort of excited on a different level to hear from each of those guys. What do you want to hear today? What are you looking forward to? What are the burning questions from Brian Christopherson?
They're always tough before they've even put the ball down. But I'm interested, I guess, with Dana, start with him, like sort of with Jeep Wade here and some of the stuff they did at Georgia Tech really successfully with his offensive lines, sort of what they've been able to get done in their conversations about, I mean, I know they're not going to get out the grease board and tell you this is exactly what we're doing, but like how that connection is forming, because I think it's critical to this football team in 26 that OC O-line coach relationship and just being on the same page and being able to play off each other's ideas. And it seems like Jeep Wade, you look at like the portal additions they got and all that stuff, he's really hit the ground running. So now I'm curious about it from the X's and O's standpoint. He's got a lot of momentum, obviously, as a recruiter and all that, but like now to that other phase, like how's that go with Dana and how's that looking early on? Rob Orich, I guess early on, I'd be interested in hearing sort of somewhat about this staff. That's a lot of guys that, he's familiar with that have been within arm's reach of him throughout his career. There's like 4 guys now. Of course, Tyler Yelk was announced as a safeties coach yesterday. And so kind of maybe illustrating what him and that group want to get across as teachers and sort of their way about going about it to get a team to, make those fundamentals come to life on the field and why he liked those coaches to do that with him. And then with Rule, I don't know, it's going to be interesting just if like he has a theme or like what the tenor is of if he kind of gives away what he wants this offseason to be like. Like I know in the past they've had sort of, whether it's a chasing 3 theme or something or another. If there's anything like that or there's nothing like that, I will be curious. And also if we get any indication if, maybe they're going to, I wonder if they lay a little bit lower this offseason with some of that stuff. And if that comes out at all today.
Hey, this isn't so much structured for the press conference stuff, but just kind of the spring as a whole. When you have new coaches and a lot of new defensive coaches, are there any players that come to mind for you that might get viewed differently by this staff than maybe was by the previous one? That there might be like different either opportunity overall or could change positions or have a role change? Anything like that come to mind with some of Nebraska's personnel with the Rob Orich defensive staff that maybe wasn't happening previously?
Yeah, I kind of gravitate toward those edges with that question first off, because there's some guys within that 4-2-5 or however they, want to line it up that are listed there now that I think could have some new life breathed into their games. Like even like a veteran like Cam Lenhart, who we sort of I think some people think they know the book on him, and maybe they do, but he has a chance to show there's another level. And I think a fresh set of eyes and sort of this scheme could be interesting for a player like him. That's sort of what you're hoping. But then there's other guys like sort of more under the surface, like Willis McGahee and Dylan Rogers and Ochoa. Remember Ochoa was like the guy we were all fired up about like last August, and it didn't really happen last season. And so like take that group of three, like McGahee, Rogers, Ochoa, like can what they're doing with this scheme, with this new staff, maybe get like a couple of those guys to really pop. Because, 2 years ago, heck, last off season, we were writing about it on our site, Schaefer, like McGahee was like one of those guys, like he would, most indispensable Husker type guys, he thought, like because of what he did previously. And he was actually like a little bit ahead of, Princewell 2 years ago. So guys like that, I am really interested in with this new scheme. And then there's some guys, at the D tackle spot, new guys, I'd be curious to hear about are Jasir Whittington, Owen Chambliss, and McDougal, because I think all three of those guys at three different levels need to be critical for this team.
All right, BC. Well, have a good afternoon. We look forward to all the stuff coming out and your coverage as well. Appreciate you taking the time. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Brian Christopherson from Husker 24/7.
There goes the Thimble Man.
Mr. Thimble, they're calling him in the streets. They're coming up to him with tears in their eyes, and they're saying, "Are you the Thimble
Man? Will you
man?
sign my thimble?
Will you sign my thimble, please?"
A little tiny BC written.
I only sign one thimble a day, Brian says. He has to cap it. There's just too many thimbles. We'll be back after this on 1620 The Zone.
I'm thirsty. I need a drink.
All right, well done. Some folks were listening closely. Actually, we had multiple people who got our phones lit up right away, which great job by you guys. Then we had our first winner was ineligible because he had won something in the last 30 days, and then Brett won.
Congrats, Brett.
Enjoy your
we
beers.
We did miss a giveaway yesterday, so I will have an extra one for. So there may be something in store. We'll see either today or tomorrow.
Joey, leaving it out there. Now, this one doesn't count. I want to play this one for free.
I'm thirsty. I need a drink.
Good. That could be you at Timber Creek Pizza Pub and Grill. Timber Peak. All right. Here we go. Mike Schaefer has sent me a story, and it seems a lot like a story that you may have heard before. Georgia players Chris Cole, Darren Ikigbanan, arrested on reckless driving charges. This is new. This is today. I tracked down a story that logged all of the incidents, starting way back with the tragic incident that started all of this, which makes it more incredible. There was a tragic incident involved with driving, and then
it got worse.
And then it got way worse. It got way worse after that. So there was a sports, and this is a year ago. Somebody did this a year ago. So I don't know how many there's been in the last year. At least 2.
Add more onto the fire.
Add more in. So we had that. The bad one was in January of 2023. They're all bad, but this one was worse. It involved the loss of life. January 2023, February 2023, February 2023, February 2023. Come on.
Oh no, your mouse.
Page unresponsive. Uh-oh. Really? Sports Illustrated? Really? Unbelievable. There was at least 15 to 20 more.
I believe it.
I would have just read them all, but apparently my computer can't handle sportsillustrated.com. Right.
Kirby Smart he shut the segment down.
How does this happen? I don't what is going on?
The amount of ads all just combined.
No, not that part. The part of where Georgia players keep getting arrested on driving charges.
Apparently there's not enough to do in Athens, so there's just a bunch of racing going on. I don't know. I mean, it is sort of wild. Like, it's not wild in the sense that young people driving can pick up infractions at going at a high rate of speed. Athletes in particular, especially now, souped up vehicles, whatever else. That's not shocking. The fact that it's always emanating out of Georgia or this many cases after everything that happened with Jalen Carter. Like, that's the part of it where it's like, man, if I was Georgia, I would really stress upon the fact that, hey, we don't need this to be in the news.
And we have this really great example of what not to do.
Right. Meanwhile, it keeps being in the news.
I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense to me. Every time it happens, people make fun of it on the internet, and I'm like, I can't believe this is happening. I think the exact same thing. I don't know why it's only there.
The first comment under the story that I sent you was essentially do you all have a templated article where you just fill in the blanks at this point?
They must.
I mean, it'd be pretty easy.
Yeah.
You just got to have the speed and the names.
Oh, well, it happened again. Here we are. Comment from Mustache Adam on YouTube. In my best Jim Nance 1996 Fiesta Bowl voice, how many reckless driving charges can one program have? Seriously, it's getting absurd.
Yeah, I mean,
it was absurd probably 3 years ago. It's way more.
Yeah,
absurd
it started 3 years ago, effectively.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, it started about.
It was absurd in the moment of its infancy, and now we're like in a toddler phase.
Then there was like 7 more in the next 3 months, and then they've continued at that exact rate ever since.
They should just have a lockbox and make the students just drop in the keys into the box and have no access,
no driving at all.
No driving privileges.
The first program that institutes a no driving rule for its players.
But they give them all cars. They get their cars and their NIL deals and stuff like that.
I don't know how much that even happens anymore because it just seems like they're just they're buying
or they get the money and then they get the car. Either way, they're getting a car. right?
Some high-end cars in the student parking lots across college campuses now.
It's unbelievable.
It really is.
It's, I mean, that
It
those are
used to just be a
cars.
certain type of student might have a high-end car.
Yeah.
And now it's like, okay, there's a lot more of these than you would ever expect.
I would never think like, hey, I got this car. I want to drive it really fast and put it in danger of wrecking. I would be like Cameron from Ferris Bueller trying to protect that thing at all costs.
Yeah.
That didn't work out for him either, for the record.
No, it did not.
Those guys in that parking garage took it on a
your car is
joyride.
always susceptible to potential damage, but it's even more so when you're driving recklessly.
Dave writes in, where is the Uber NIL deal? Great question. Great question.
Be an exclusive Uber team.
Yeah, seriously, we've done the
That
cars.
would be an amazing sponsor.
Why not be the Uber school?
Yeah.
You could get unlimited.
Get
maybe
a patch
they do.
on your.
Actually, I bet they do have that. I bet they put it all their programs. They're like, yeah, if you ever need an Uber, just like it's on me. We'll get you taken care of.
Hey, if you need a
They
ride,
Don't drive this car.
They
For
don't
whatever-
want to wait and they don't want to get in the Uber. That's basically what it comes
Nobody
down
ever wants to get in the Uber.
they don't want to make small talk with the driver.
I don't know if that's it. Maybe they just really, really want to
to.
drive.
It would be, if you're a well-known college athlete getting into the Uber and then having to like be in that situation with like
The Uber drivers don't know. The Uber drivers don't
They
know.
might.
Uber drivers aren't sports fans.
They could be.
Poll question. Are Uber's drivers sports fans?
I mean, if I've been recognized in an Uber for having a voice and being on the radio, then somebody else would be too.
I'm imagining a conversation where they're like, oh, really? You're on, it's like, Johnny Manziel or something like that. Oh, you're on the football team? What position do you play? And he's like, this is perfect.
I was once picked up by a former Nebraska football player. It was kind of wild.
Really?
Yeah, Jeremiah Stovall. It was incredible.
Jeremiah Snowball was an Uber driver?
He was. Yeah.
That is incredible.
We talked about he played some arena football. And
He
was
played some
kinda in
good special
between some
teams.
stuff. Yeah, he did.
Nice. Could use him back. Hokey Skirt writes in. I won't read what he said, but he says that I'm excited that the Jays won, and it's now time for him to campaign them as a 16 seed in the dance. Yes, go Jays for 16 seed. Many people are saying.
Many people.
I've already said it 40 times throughout the show today. Jays as a 16 seed. It's definitely happening. That happens all the time. High major teams get in as 16 seeds. This comes from a guy who definitely knows ball. Hokey Skirt, Nebraska ball fan. Interesting. We'll be back. 9:00 hour is coming up. I do have that Nebraska ball question for you, Schaefer.
Yeah, we were going to do it at 7. It's now 9.
Yeah, but we'll get there. It won't be like the Creighton question. Trust me. Back after this on 1620 The Zone. All right. We'll save we'll save this for at the end of the segment, but I do want to read it. But I have a Nebraska ball question.
We're getting to it.
We are getting to it because I have to force myself to do it. Much like going to the proctor to take an online test. You just have to do it.
Which was a conversation during the
You
break.
just got to do it. Which better describes Nebraska ball right now? Getting worn down or regressing to the mean?
I think it's interesting because I think I could make an argument for either of these. And it's probably like all things, some sort of a combination of them.
Yes, definitely. That's obviously the answer. Yes.
It looks like more the first than the second to me. Because if like you could have said the second at points of the Purdue with the regressing to the mean, but then they went on that 18-2 run. Their defense came back. They played well. They lost to Iowa, but again, like you make two different shots at a couple points in that game. It's a very different game. Their defense played outstanding. They didn't rebound the ball well enough. That's been an issue for them in the past. There's just something about them, though, and it has looked this way since really kind of late in the Illinois game, where it doesn't feel like they have the same kind of like burst to whatever they're doing. There's, we can argue whether it's the flow of the offense has been disrupted or if, just you're now into this part of the season, your legs just don't have that same kind of whatever. And that's coming off of the fact that they hit that stretch where they didn't play until they played Rutgers. They had their one break of the year in there. And you would have thought that maybe they would have had a little bit extra coming out of that. It kind of feels like it's the opposite. Like they don't have the same kind of almost charge to them.
Yeah. There's just an edge that's not
right. And that's where it's like, can you get that back? Is that just gone forever? Et cetera, et cetera. I think so. I would say it's maybe just a little bit more worn down. I don't think it's regressing to the mean because I think their defense is still legitimately outstanding. And that gives them life in everything that they do.
So Charles writes in on YouTube, he says, fatigue is the reason we are regressing to the mean. I'm attempting to keep the things I'm trying in this fake conversation that I just made up. I'm trying to keep the two things separate, right?
This is a real conversation.
I mean, it is a real conversation, but it's like it's a world where it's either one cup or the other cup.
Gotcha.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that's obviously not reality.
Sure.
It's either one thing or the other.
Radio reality.
Radio reality is a very different thing than actual reality, as we know for over the years. And so I agree with you that there's just an edge that's missing. That definitely was there before. I also think, as Joel says on YouTube, he says it's all about the opponent pace of play. Look up their pace metrics. Like, I also think a lot of this is sort of opponent based, and I made the case yesterday that a lot of the teams I just think have kind of caught up to Nebraska. And people will say, well, the book's out on them. That's going to be true for anybody. The
film has existed for a while.
The book is out on everybody. So I don't mean to go down that road. From there, they were so far above everybody else from a connectivity standpoint that was the difference in their great start to the season. And so it's not really, I'm not looking at it in a basketball vacuum as much as everybody else I feel like has kind of come up to them a little bit in that department. And it is partly responsible for some of the warts showing more.
Yeah.
With that being said, there's still some individual stuff. Like if you get better performances consistently from Mast and Frager isn't, bad the other night, like that game goes differently.
Right. And that's why I think for me, it's a little bit harder with that because everybody else might be at a different level with the connected wise, but Nebraska's defense has been largely at the same level the entire time. It's their offense that is sort of Jekyll and Hyde on them. Like it's gone away from stretches. It's, you don't know anymore what version of Rink Master you're going to get for even.
Well, the turnover bug against Northwestern was absurd to watch.
Right. And you're getting these 4-minute stretches where he could be good, he could be bad. And some of it, I just have to assume it makes you wonder, like, okay, how's that knee doing? Because we saw this towards the end of 23-24, where he was playing and he just didn't have the same ability because his knee wasn't what it had been earlier in the year. I mean, part of it, you play through the grind of the season. Nobody's 100% at this point. Nobody goes into games. Everybody's got a little bit of something, or everybody's got a little bit of tired, all of it. They have to figure out how to be able to play through that. They have to be able to meet teams where they stand.
Yep.
And that's what we talked about with Iowa. And that's what made me so annoyed coming in here on Wednesday or yesterday morning, because nothing about what Iowa did was something Nebraska wouldn't have known going into that game.
Right.
And yet it still felt like in the first 10 minutes of game time, Nebraska was kind of like looking around like, we're in a game like this? Like, what do you – I don't understand how you wouldn't have known that.
They let Iowa dictate, for sure.
Yeah, and that's what they have done so well almost the entirety of the season, except for 2 games, I would argue. And maybe you could say 2.5 because the second half against Illinois, it was dictated to them. Second half against Illinois, the Purdue game and the Iowa game, those teams set the pace at points in that game, and Nebraska could not meet it.
Every other time it's been Nebraska.
Yeah. Even Michigan didn't really set the pace of anything at any point. They hung around because they're very, very good and they survived. But Nebraska was largely the one doing kind of the pace setting of that. Any other game, it's been Nebraska. Iowa, that's what I guess Northwestern kind of did, but then Nebraska took over and it's Northwestern and they're very bad.
Mm-hmm.
Iowa just like immediately
uglied it up.
And Nebraska just wasn't ready for it. And I don't get it. I just don't. Like, I don't understand how you're not ready, that they're going to be in your face on every possession, that they're going to be grabbing, that they're going to be pushing, that they're going to be driving, here's the other thing. It's like Nebraska defensively was shocked that Iowa was crashing the offensive boards as if there hasn't been a blueprint of everybody else doing this. And it's also just what Iowa does.
I also think in Mass slump here, he hasn't got nearly as many paint touches as he should. And I know like he's not like a dramatic
I felt like
finisher.
that was part of why they lost against Iowa. He's got to go score down there.
Yeah, they just need to get the ball down there and spray out from there.
The thing that they did
they were way too content to pass it along the 3-point line and just get everything iced and all that stuff.
They felt like they were doing this thing where it's like, well, Price will save us. Eventually we're going to get Price open. And so they're like forcing the ball to him 5 feet behind the 3-point line instead of just continuing to take what Iowa is largely not necessarily giving you, but where you can affect them, which is down low. Nebraska won the points in the paint, but they should have won it by a lot more.
Yeah.
You know, like if they would have had the game plan they had against Rutgers, where it was, we're just going to keep feeding Rink Mast over and over and over, it's still probably a close game, but Nebraska's probably in a different spot.
Well, you saw it last night with Creighton. I mean, when they get downhill and they're trying to get points from point blank range, it's a mentality change. It changes who you and there's an element of like inherent physicality about that. And you're telling the other team, I'm not scared of you. Like, and Nebraska shouldn't have been. Man to man, they should not have been scared of Iowa. They could beat them one-on-one. That roster stinks, with the exception of Sturts.
Yeah, that roster stinks, but it's not that good.
Right, but they play good team defense.
Sure.
And they know what they're trying to do.
They maximize what they are.
Yeah.
And they take the game to you, and Nebraska just did not meet them for that. And I'm just like, I'm shocked by that. Like, it's just one of those where you would think, and they said everything that they needed to say going into it, and then the game started, and it was still like looking around like, you see what they're doing? Well, yeah. But this is what the game is going to be.
So I don't know what kind of snaps them back into the kind of aggressive mindset, but it needs to happen right away.
Well, and the hard part, I think, is you're going to get these games where that's why I asked BC what I did. Like, what is it that they could hyper focus on to make the Penn State game matter more than just getting sort of a win? You know, and the Maryland game after that. These are teams that have played other teams tough, and I would expect them to play Nebraska tough for about 30 minutes. Then I expect Nebraska to have that stretch where they put it away. I don't know what I'm going to get out of these games. It's going to change this sort of like feeling that I have that Nebraska is just not getting to the level that it needs to be to open up everything else.
Existential dread.
That's kind of what it feels like right now.
So
that's part of why the Iowa thing is just hanging over me in a season where they're 22-4. And it's just like you're sitting here and it just felt uncharacteristic and I don't like it.
Speaking of things that have happened in the past, here's a text from Happer's meme guy. He says, the last 2 years, Nebraska has lit gas at this exact point of the season, too. The way they play and how hard they play when they're at their best definitely takes a toll. They don't coast or play many, if any, games on cruise control. And like, I have long been, people have been, I think, outwardly concerned about the minutes for 7 guys over the last couple of weeks here. And I know that the product doesn't look good, and you can point back to that at this moment in time. I just think, like we've been saying for the last 15 minutes, I just think they got to play through this stuff. Like, when you get to these games that mean a lot, you are not going to be leaning on your depth. You're going to be leaning on Bryce Sanford, Rink Mass, Sam Hoiberg, Jamarcus Lawrence. Like, those guys are going to be on the floor. So you better get ready to be in a dogfight for 37 minutes. Like, they have to be out there for that period of time.
Yeah.
I don't care about this whole depth thing. I know I'm sort of on an island on that, but
I don't think they do either.
Yeah, they shouldn't.
I don't think it's a question of whether they have the horses to be able to play that. It's just a matter of, can you play the version of yourself that gives you the best chance to win? I've heard this a few times about the Nebraska gets to this point and they let off the gas. It's not true. People are conflating last year's horrible finish with this idea that Nebraska struggles in February, whereas in 22-23, they were outstanding in February as they made their run back to 500. In 23-24, they were very good in February again, winning a bunch of games. They had a loss to Illinois, Northwestern. They had another one in there. Otherwise, we're good in that month. So there's just like this, because they had the horrible finish last year, there's this idea that's being perpetuated that I don't think really exists over 3 out of the last 4 seasons, or 2 out of the last 3 leading into this one.
They have I guess I don't know, 2 years ago when they made the tournament, what were the last few games of the regular season like?
I mean, so starting in February, they beat Wisconsin.
But what was it like in March or like late February?
Okay, so late February, we'll start with today's date's what, the 19th. So starting on the 21st, win against Indiana on the road, win against Minnesota at home, loss against Ohio State on the road, win against Rutgers, win against Michigan, win against Indiana in the Big Ten tournament, blow a 17-point lead to Illinois and lose by double digits.
So 5-2.
Yeah, I mean, I just think there's this idea that they lose steam, and I don't think that's really true.
Yeah, it does feel that way, but it's probably
largely just because last year was so bad. Yeah. But and people
Deep,
forget,
dark pit.
They also had the stretch at the beginning of February where they won a bunch of games. They went 5-0 or whatever it was, and then they lost everything after that.
Yeah,
they're just they were very streaky last year. This year it felt like they were impervious to sort of a losing streak. And now you're what?
That's why sometimes I lean toward the second one. That's why sometimes I lean toward the regressing to the mean thing, because I don't like. I mean, if you were to objectively look at this team, and I know they're a lot better than I thought they were going to be. They're a lot better than anybody thought they were going to be. But in reality, should that team have been 20-0? And did that warp how you felt about, how this season was going to go?
It's hard, though, because we only know what we saw.
I know.
And then you look back on it, and it's like Creighton sucks, so getting that win doesn't mean as much.
Right.
Kansas State sucks.
Like, that makes sense in hindsight. That makes sense in hindsight.
So, there wasn't like this great non-conference, but you also can't divorce what they did in those first 5 Big Ten games where they beat 5 NCAA tournament teams in a row to start the year. Yeah. Yes, were they as good at being 20-0? Maybe not, but how would you really tell yourself that based on what you witnessed?
You would have to just play the results every single time.
You look around college basketball, and it's like there was, what do they say on the broadcast? Like 9 ranked teams lost on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And then another 4, I think, lost last night. But that's just kind of what happens.
Totally. And don't get me wrong, the sky is not falling here. This is,
I think the big thing is
fine.
It went from this is a top 8 team to, this is a top 12 team to this is probably more realistically a top 20 team.
I agree.
I think
I agree.
But we're also
that would be regressing to the mean for me.
We're also in a year where it doesn't they're a top 20 team, and yet it doesn't feel like you have 20 teams that are really top 20 teams. Does that make sense?
Like if they had Iowa's record, and Iowa's path, that would make a little bit more sense. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Just from a win-loss perspective, you know,
But if
you're
you go
never
look at Iowa's-
you're never like super high up there in you never get to number what were they 6 in the rankings?
Right.
Like you never get to that hot 5.
Well, you'd be discussing what they largely, when they're a tournament team, it's largely like a very workman-like 21-win season.
Right.
Very unlike winning 20 games to start the
Correct.
season. So some of it is just divorcing yourself from what you thought of
And that's
Nebraska
hard.
basketball being before.
That's hard.
And that's why it's also difficult to like, well, are they really a 20-win team? Well, I mean, they did it. So yes.
Yeah, I know.
Or a 20 straight win team. So it's just a weird.
It's same thing with like Miami, Ohio. Miami, Ohio is going to go undefeated in the regular, they're going to go undefeated the entire way. Then they're going to lose in the first round of the NCAA tournament. People are going to be like, well, they sucked. I thought they were supposed to be this cool Elite Eight Final Four team.
The comments yesterday about Nebraska being a 5 and Miami of Ohio being a 12. And it's just like, that would be sort of amazing.
So much
for
pain.
this show in particular, but also just to like how that all comes together.
All right, we really got to take a break and give our friend Max Olson a call, but we'll like to hear your thoughts on that 402-951-1620. We can get to them after Max on 1620 The Zone. Well, we have reached, we've been here for several weeks now, the college football offseason, which means we're talking about, I don't know, Georgia players driving cars, the playoff formats,
Tony Petitti,
NIL, all sorts of fun stuff. Transfer portal. Max Olson joins us now. Courts, goal, lots of courts. Max, have we learned more about our court lingo over the last couple weeks?
What does that mean?
I don't know, just more court words. So you
Yeah,
can go on
are
the
you
radio.
more familiar with
I thought you were talking
legal
about, like,
jargon?
I thought you were talking about like the video board court the Big 12 is going to have.
Oh, now
we did discuss that.
That sounds pretty cool, by the way.
Much better than the SEC courts that we've been talking about more, I think.
Oh yes, yeah. No, I sorry I missed you guys last week. We went to Disneyland for a few days to take advantage.
You
of
and Sam Darnold.
Wonderful Disney benefits. I know I missed Kenneth Walker and Sam Darnold. We went the next day. Would have been nice, but yeah, it was lovely to unplug from the current BS that we're swimming through.
Yep, we are dealing with quite a lot of it. So we've seen the Big Ten's idea, their very cool and fun idea for the college football playoff, actually been sort of written out. Pete Thamel, your colleague, had this earlier in the week. Where are we at on the playoff, quote unquote, the future playoff negotiations at this point? Obviously, we've been at a standstill for quite some time now. Is there any light at the end of the tunnel with this?
I mean, I'd be lying if I told you I was really invested and cared on that one.
Great take, Max. Excellent take.
Because I'm sorry. I'm still like, nothing's perfect, but like, I'm still at the point. I don't think we've proven that 12 has problems yet. I really don't. I think, yeah, 1-7 for the bye teams. Like, that's an interesting wrinkle 2 years in. I don't even know if that's enough data to like really make a change on. Obviously, we all know that the playoff and just the whole schedule needs to start sooner, needs to end sooner. And I think that would if the playoff were weekly, I think that would factor into some of these challenges we deal with right now. But yeah, the right now you're still have this tug of war between the SEC and the Big Ten, and the fact those guys were given the power to set this in the first place is obviously concerning. And certainly Petitti has a pretty clear idea of what he wants to do, as Pete laid out last week. And I think that I don't know. It still seems like they're trying to win the SEC over, or trying to find some compromise that they view as favorable. And I think we're in for another long period here of people attending CFP meetings and reporting that nothing has changed.
Nothing happened. Yeah, it's great.
So, Max, you have an article on ESPN people can check out where it's about who has nailed the transfer portal and the best addition for top 25 teams. I'm curious, as you went through it, I kind of want to go the other way. Was there a team or two where you were a little surprised they didn't get more done in the transfer portal, or they look a little bit more susceptible or weaker coming out of the portal?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Could be some good content for you as well.
There you go. Thank you for the off-season story ideas. I have to think on that. Without having the
sure,
team list in front of me and stuff like that. I do think that what's weird is we've now kind of just normalized that a portal class is just like generally 20 to 25 to 30 guys, right? Like we don't really see that many programs. And now that Clemson's on the portal wagon too, it's just like, you don't really see that many programs that are just like, we'll just take 10 and we'll be fine and we'll stay out of this stuff. And so, and I kind of think people are starting to figure out like, maybe that's a risky thing to do. So I think if you're one of these, like, that just only brought in 10 and only brought in a couple starters, like, just because you've got a bunch of guys coming back, you feel like that's probably a risky way to go now. So is there something that comes to mind for you, like that kind of like whiffs during this time?
Not necessarily. I mean, it's hard because I spend most of my time looking at what Nebraska's doing, and I would feel like they whiffed in several regards with their portal. But they're not a top 25 team, so they wouldn't qualify under that assessment either.
Well, that's fair. That's fair. Where do you see the whiffs? Where do you see just the positional needs were just not met
for Nebraska?
Yeah.
I look at it like this. So I'm looking at your article, and you have for Iowa at number 16, you have LJ Phillips as a running back from South Dakota who's an FCS All-American. And all I can think to myself is all Iowa has largely done out of the portal is just continue to find ways to upgrade their roster through top level FCS teams or FCS players that are around this area. And I just feel like Nebraska had an opportunity to at least add to their running back room and just chose not to. In addition to, they just didn't get anything done or enough done, I think, on the defensive line. I think those are areas that could potentially haunt them this season as I look at what they do. And like I said, I mean, you look right next door, Iowa's entire offense changed by just getting Mark Gronowski. Iowa's running game will get better by adding LJ Phillips. And it's not like these were guys that they had to go battle Indiana and Miami and Texas Tech and top end teams for. They were just the biggest suitor out of the region for players that should be known about. I think teams have to do a great job of identifying the best players in the Missouri Valley Football Conference because there's a lot of good ones.
Iowa, I'm glad you mentioned them because that's going to be an interesting experiment this year. If you look at their portal class, it's pretty much all FCS guys this year.
Yeah.
And not, and maybe some of these programs, I think you look at it and say like, okay, well, we can go get these like good backups from the SEC and maybe they're just better than what we've got and stuff. And some of those guys, they end up back in the portal and stuff like that. Like, I think some of these programs are figuring out, and this is what Cignetti's always preached. It's just like, hey man, we want production over potential. We want to get guys that have been multi-year starters, and yeah, maybe the measurables aren't quite what we're ideally looking for, but they're experienced. And I think the programs that are able to scoop those guys up, I think we've seen the success over the last few years. So yeah, I'm interested to see how much impact Iowa gets from their class because, like I said, LJ Phillips coming off a unbelievable year, and I think he rushed for like 1,900 yards and wasn't even the starter until like the third game of the season. But I think those kinds of pickups that can play at a super high level at the FCS, like everybody's fighting over those guys, and they're all. And to your point too, like the reality is those guys aren't that expensive either because they're making
that's the big thing
at their previous school.
Speaking of making transitions from the FCS to the FBS, North Dakota State. What when you first caught wind of this, that this might happen, they might end up in the Mountain West this year. What did you think, Max?
I mean, I'm excited to play the video game this summer.
Well, that's one of the first things I thought too. Actually,
we were just talking about what a win it was for North Dakota State.
Let's get the dome in the game, and let's get a dynasty going, right? I mean, 100%. That's the first thing that comes to mind. Obviously, in an ideal world, you've got North Dakota State in the Mountain West, and you've got Sac State in the MAC, right? Everybody agrees that's a good idea.
Totally, we love it. Regional conferences are back.
Yeah, nobody would fix anything if they could. I'm excited to see it happen. I think that as this portal era has proven, like the guys that have transferred up, or even the North Dakota State guys that get drafted, like those guys certainly can play at a G5 level, and a lot of them can play at a Power 4 level. And so I don't think the transition, as long as you have like stability, and obviously that program has had a lot of stability during its title runs and stuff, like if as long as you're not having a revolving door of coaches and stuff, like, man, I think they're going to be pretty competitive pretty quickly because the eye for talent has always been there, and now you're a little bit more appealing to these guys that you've always been recruiting and out evaluating people on. So I'm excited. I'm guessing for that fan base too. Like when you've won as many titles as they have, like you probably kind of just get a little bored of going against the same teams all the time. And this is a kind of, it's going to be a higher level of difficulty, but I think it's going to be a lot more probably intriguing to the fan base to see them really be challenged.
Max, I am curious, like, have you heard from coaches at all about just how things seem to be stacking up with no spring portal? I mean, they can't really add anybody that isn't in the portal right now. Nobody else can go into the portal. This is the first time we've had it where you only have the one period. Have you heard any kind of feedback so far from coaches or agents or anybody on this?
Well, I doing the math on my master's spreadsheet of everybody in the portal. Like I think about 80-85% of the guys in the portal have found homes so far. So there's still going to be a few hundred players, scholarship players out there that might be like kind of sitting around thinking like, hey, maybe there'll be some opportunities for me after the spring as teams have injuries and they have depth concerns and stuff like that. So I think there could still be pickups in the spring. I think the thing that's like concerning when you talk with agents, and I think they kind of expect it too a little bit, is just, teams are going to have needs, and they're probably, going to be approaching agents and approaching players and just saying like, hey, we need to add you. Let's do this outside of the portal. Like we saw with Jake Retzlaff last summer, where, you just withdraw from the school and you enroll at the next school as a walk-on, and then they'll start paying you after that and get that taken care of. But I do think we are going to see schools try to just circumvent the portal here in the spring because they have needs, or maybe it's a situation, where it's a quarterback battle that doesn't go a guy's way or something like that. Like I do think we'll see some movement. I hope we don't see a ton of movement, but I do think that those needs are still going to exist, and coaches are going to do whatever they got to do to resolve them.
All right, Max, great stuff as always. Appreciate you taking the time. Have a good rest of your week and enjoy your weekend.
Thanks, fellas.
Max Olson from ESPN.
Pete Golding gonna be texting.
So that's a great. Tired using the transfer portal. Yeah. Wired circumventing the transfer portal to still get the players.
Coaches endlessly complaining about the spring portal. Coaches tampering to get players to walk on.
What's your buyout like, buddy?
I just like it's going to be so obnoxious if and when this all happens.
Oh yeah,
the
it's going to happen
that
too.
Tell you endlessly about how awful things are will then be telling you like, oh, it's great. This guy walked on our program. I don't know where we found the money for this.
He just popped up. It was weird.
He wanted to be here. We certainly didn't do anything.
Yep. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Round things out. Listen carefully on Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone.
I'm thirsty. I need a drink.
All right, final segment here on a Thursday. I was checking out the obituaries in the Cedar Rapids Gazette yesterday. I just happened to buy. I usually read the obituaries in the Cedar Rapids Gazette.
My dad would just tell people when they were asked how he was doing, he'd be like, "Well, I read the obituary today and I wasn't in it."
That's a great
just
dad
something
line.
he would just like say it, and like people never knew how to respond to it because sometimes he would do it to people that he didn't know that well.
Yeah,
that just innocuously threw out there, "How are you doing?" Not expecting any kind of genuine, real response.
It's a great dad line.
Yeah,
It's a wonderful dad line.
very dad.
So this is an obituary of Thomas Gaddy, Marion, Iowa. Tragically gone too soon. Tom, here's what it says. Tom was lifted above with absolute conviction. Then the next line is this. Cooper DeJean in no way signaled for a fair catch. Cooper returned that ball to the house and it was game over. Period. End of conversation. Next sentence. Tom loved all sports, especially the Hawkeyes and the Cubs, playing high school basketball alongside legendary sharpshooter Joe Keith for Little Delhi and an 88-9 record, and went on to say all the other accomplishments that Thomas had. But
Oh, you don't want to read those parts of it?
I mean, sure, we can. Tom continued playing into his 70s. It was a part of 3 senior Iowa tournament champions, as well as participating in several senior national championships. Tom started playing town team baseball and softball at 14 with hard-hitting Ray Reth. This is Iowa, folks. Tom had a long career in fast-pitch softball and played in the ISC World Tournament in 4 different decades. And then it keeps on going, but this is all I have from the screenshot in the obituaries from the Cedar Rapids Gazette. Would you use your obituary to just have your one final sports take?
Yeah, it could be Mike Schaefer lived 52 years after Blair Walsh missed that kick.
He definitely missed that kick, and I didn't like it.
Joey lived for 60 years after the firing of old man Richard Bisaccia.
Outliving Richard, but
he does not want to mention that Rich Bisaccia was a very good man and did a lot of things in the community. Just happy that he's not on the Packers staff anymore. That's all. Cooper DeJean
still mentions how bad the Packers special teams is to this day.
Does Nebraska have a Cooper DeJean moment? Like, it doesn't have to be a fair catch, not fair catch.
Well,
I'm just saying, a what if?
If the Big 12 had run the clock correctly in the 2009 Big 12 championship, Nebraska would never have left for the Big 10 and would have stayed in the Big 12 forever, keeping harmonious peace in the conference. I don't know.
Now that is sliding.
Knowing how to cover a jet sweep against the Wisconsin Badgers.
If they would have learned how to defend it.
Yeah.
Melvin Gordon, we never know it existed.
If the Akron game had never been rained out, Scott Frost would have had the greatest career of any Nebraska coach of all time.
The Cam Taylor Britt safety against Illinois.
Mike Schaefer died today. If the Akron game would have been played, Scott Frost would have worked. I swear by it.
It'd be actually
Mike
funnier.
lived a great life.
It would be funnier if it was like you did that, but you subvert what people were expecting and you just add another loss to Scott Frost's record in its time.
If the Akron game would have been played, Scott Frost would have lost it somehow.
Yeah.
Now that is an obituary statement.
That would have been incredible.
Kenneth writes in, here lies Kenneth, who definitely isn't still bitter about the Bush push. Kenneth, a Notre Dame fan.
There we go.
There you go. Good one.
The Bush push led to the tush push, right?
I think that's why people call it the tush push. Yeah.
I mean, it's not the same thing, and it was years,
I think
decades.
we probably would have got there.
Sure,
we would have figured it out, but it was a very easy.
But it was like the precursor of it. Just it was too soon by about 2 decades.
All right, so we'll check out tomorrow in the obituaries in the Cedar Rapids Gazette, and we'll let you know if anything interesting happens.
Now that would be a segment. This week in the obituaries,
specifically in the Cedar Rapids.
We just
Gazette.
read weird obituaries of people we don't know.
Or what would you put on your obituary? For
That's
instance, mine.
The Celtics are the balls.
They're back tonight.
Unbelievable. They're back. Where have they been? And the NBA has 82 games in a season.
They were on an all-star break.
Yeah, they
I
famously
saw
had
Baylor
a break.
Shireman on Saturday.
Yeah.
He was at the
in town.
basketball
Now he's
game.
in California.
And his weird mustache. Ryan Kalkbrenner looked like he always has for the last 5 years. All right, that'll do it for us today. Make sure you tune in.
Held scoreless in that building again on Saturday.
Tomorrow, I'm blowing through that for a special guest of the show. Appreciate you joining us today. If you miss anything, 1620thezone.com is where you can find it. The Crossovers coming up next.